ready to go live as soon as you tell me to go.
Good evening, everyone.
Mayor Halliday, I'm sorry, apologize. I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar and the recording now.
Oh, okay. I thought we were there.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. If you can't see behind my mask, I am smiling to see so many people in our council chambers for the first time in more than 2 years. So a big hearty welcome to all of you who are here and all of you who are still attending, as we are also being broadcast through Zoom and on our Channel 15 station, and some of our council members are attending on Zoom, and you'll probably see their faces as they appear up there. But in the meantime, I am going to call this meeting of the, it's a special joint meeting of the Hayward City Council and the Hayward Housing Authority Board to order. And I will ask Council Member Mark Salinas, who is here with us tonight, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And outreach and services to underserved populations, including the commercial sexual exploitation of children, sexual assault victims from cold hit DNA cases, immigrant victims, urban youth, and victims in the LGBT community, as well as victims with disabilities, such as deaf and hard of hearing. The Alameda County District Attorney's Office has been bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community and building the community's trust in the criminal justice system. It will continue to do so as we celebrate over 40 years of victims' services in Alameda County. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provides an opportunity to celebrate the energy, creativity, and commitment that launched the victims' rights movement, inspired its progress, and continues to advance the cause of justice for crime victims. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Halliday, Mayor of the City of Hayward, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 24th to 30th, 2022 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week in the City of Hayward, reaffirming the commitment to respect and enforce victims' rights and addressing their needs during the Victims' Rights Weeks and throughout the year, and expressing our appreciation for those victims and survivors of crime who have turned personal tragedy into a motivating force to improve the response to victims of crime and build a more just community. And so I believe we have here, through the magic of Zoom, yes, I see her there, we have Maddie Baines from the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, who will be formally accepting this proclamation. And so, Maddie, here it is, and we will be sending it to your office. But please go ahead and say a few words if you would like.
Yes, thank you so much for that amazing speech that you just did. On behalf of the Alameda County District Attorney's Office and the Victim Witness Division, I would like to thank the City of Hayward for proclaiming Victims' Rights Week and recognizing the efforts made to assist crime victims. We look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for the work that you do, and I know it's much appreciated, and probably all of us have had some experience with either being a victim or having a close friend or family member be a victim. And so we do really appreciate the work that you do and are glad to proclaim this week and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to another area, and that is fair housing. And this is to proclaim Fair Housing Month, whereas April 2022 marks the 54th anniversary of the Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, known as the Civil Rights Fair Housing Act, And whereas this act provides equal housing opportunity for all Americans, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, as well as seeks to ensure fair practice in the sale, rental, or financing of property. And whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 added new rights, remedies, monetary penalties, and strengthened its enforcement procedures. And whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act seeks to provide equal housing opportunities to affirmatively further housing choices, to eliminate legal barriers to equal housing opportunity, and to emphasize equal housing opportunity as a fundamental human right for all. Whereas individuals in the city have the right to choose where to live without discrimination based on race, color, religion, age, sex, disability, gender identity, familial status, or national origin. And whereas the City of Hayward fully supports the intent and purpose of the Federal Fair Housing Act, local fair housing laws, and other policies to advance fairness and equity in housing opportunities. Whereas fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of members of the National Association of Realtors and the Bay East Association of Realtors, and is critical to the ability of all real estate professionals to serve their clients, customers, and communities. And whereas the Eden Council for Hope and Opportunity, an organization we call ECHO Housing, was founded in 1964, incorporated in 1965 by community volunteers, and dedicated to equal housing opportunities, the prevention of housing discrimination, and the elimination of homelessness, and received its first jurisdictional funding for discrimination investigation from the City of Hayward in 1973. Established as a fair housing agency, ECHO has expanded to a full-service housing counseling organization, providing services to very low and moderate income clients, reaching over 3,000 clients a year in Alameda, Contra Costa, and Monterey counties. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Halliday, Mayor of the City of Hayward, on behalf of the Hayward City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Hayward, and affirm that the City of Hayward will work to support the intent and purpose of the Federal Fair Housing Act and local fair housing laws and to follow policies and practices in order to achieve their goals. And so we do have one framed proclamation, and I'm going to ask Tina Hand from the Bay East Association of Realtors to come forward and meet me at the podium. And we also accepting a copy of this proclamation, which will be mailed to ECHO Housing, I believe. Do we have Tanya? Yes, no, don't see her. Do we have Tanya Corona?
I'm here.
You're here on
Zoom.
On Zoom. Okay, wonderful. Yes. here's the. I can't hold it up, but I'll bring it down, and you'll be getting your copy, and we'll let you say a few words in a minute. But let me go down and present this.
Thank you so much, Mayor Halliday, City Council, City of Hayward, and ECHO Housing. I just want to say thank you for acknowledging that April is National Fair Housing Month. We appreciate this proclamation very, very much. As at Bay East, we do believe, as realtors, we do believe in fair housing. And housing for all, not just homeowners, but renters alike. Everybody is entitled to fair housing. And I just want to say it's an honor to accept this, and thank you so much. Again, we look forward. And it's been a long time since I've seen you in person. It's very nice to see you in person, and we appreciate the collaboration and working with you and sitting down and talking and discussing, and we are here whenever you need us to help. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, and we really appreciate that. And likewise, appreciate what you provide to our community to uphold these principles that we all have. So, and with that, I would like to ask if we have Tanya from, Ms. Corona from, is she there? Okay. If you would like to say a few words, we also very much appreciate the services that you provide to people in our city and throughout the area to also uphold these principles.
Thank you so much, Mayor, council members in the city of Hayward. On behalf of myself and my colleagues at Echo Housing, we would like to thank the mayor and the city of Hayward's council members for recognizing Echo Housing with this proclamation during National Fair Housing Month. Echo Housing believes that everyone deserves the right to housing equality. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Please thank everyone in your organization for us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year after another year of good work. So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
So with that, what have we come to now? Oh, yes, the 39th Annual Earth Day Poster and Writing Contest. Yay. And I think that's what has brought many of you to our chambers this evening. So we are going to go ahead and present these awards, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Zermano to join me down in front so that we can do that. He and I, along with Councilmember Marquez, who I know very much regrets that she couldn't be here this evening, but the three of us serve on the Council Sustainability Committee, which is the committee that really looks into and advises council on how we can make our community and our whole earth greener. And we know that you are all working out there in your schools to do that too. So, and we really appreciate it. And we have welcomed you all here this evening to receive these awards. So let me come down to the podium. Yes, and let me, thank you. Okay, so I know that part wasn't written out, but Madam Interpreter, I think it's a Madam Interpreter, would you, we have someone who is doing that for us this evening, so are you ready to just summarize the opening there for me?
Yes, Mayor.
El próximo punto en la agenda de esta noche es la presentación anual de premios del concurso de escritura y afiche del Día de la Tierra para estudiantes de la ciudad de Hayward. Y estamos aquí para dar una bienvenida a todos los ganadores y sus familias y agradecerles el trabajo que ha hecho.
I'm just wondering who actually needs an interpreter. ¿Quién necesita aquí intérprete de español? ¿Todos comprenden inglés?
Well,
¿Sí? So we really don't need an interpreter?
no, I think we really do.
Well, we do?
Yeah.
Well, they all say they can handle it. ¿Cómo? Oh, online? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're gathered here. Very exciting. Look at the list of all these people here. So make sure that when you come up here, you get a big smile so somebody will take a photograph. Okay? So you're reading?
Before we go into that,
yes.
we have a few comments to make here. And we have yes, we do. We have a slideshow that's coming up. So let me just, okay. So, I just want to, first of all, welcome all of you for coming here. It really makes us feel good to have our chambers full again. And I just also especially want to welcome not just you students who have, who have won these awards, and we're really looking forward to honoring you, but also the teachers, and thank them for their support of this contest. Madam Interpreter.
Gracias a todos por venir esta noche. Es un placer tener a todos aquí nuevamente y quiero agradecerles no solamente a los estudiantes, sino a los maestros por su trabajo.
So,
Slide 2.
Slide 2, are we ready? Yes, there we are. So this year's posters, essays, and poems submitted to the city show students' creativity and enthusiasm about Earth Day, which we look forward to celebrating this Friday, April 22nd. The Earth Day poster and writing contest is a significant part of the city's Earth Day campaign, and this is our 39th year of Hayward's celebration of this Earth Day. Sustainability and being green is a priority here in Hayward.
Los carteles, ensayos y poemas recibidos este año demuestran la creatividad y entusiasmo de los estudiantes para el Día de la Tierra, celebrado este viernes 22 de abril. El concurso es una gran parte de la campaña de la ciudad para el Día de la Tierra. La sostenibilidad y la ecología son prioridades aquí en Hayward.
This year, the city will be hosting its annual citywide cleanup day on Saturday, April 23rd at Weeks Park. And we're really going to have it, really, and not virtually. You can't clean things up virtually. But, we invite residents to come together to collect litter in various neighborhoods throughout the city. Due to COVID-19, this event will be somewhat scaled back from the last event in 2019 in an effort to beautify our community while prioritizing the community's health. And so to register for this event, please visit our website, and there it is up there. It's www.hayward-ca.gov/earth-day.
Este año la ciudad tendrá el evento anual de limpieza el sábado 23 de abril en el Parque Weeks. Y no va a ser un evento virtual, que así no podemos limpiar. Invitamos a todos los residentes a acompañarnos a recoger basura en una variedad de vecindarios alrededor de la ciudad. Debido a COVID-19, este evento será un poco reducido en comparación con el del 2019, a fin de priorizar nuestra salud mientras embellecemos nuestra comunidad. Para inscribirse, por favor visite la página www.hayward-gov/earth-day, que está en la parte inferior al lado derecho de la pantalla.
Okay, thank you. This year, we had 464 entries from 37 Hayward schools. And so those of you who are winners here, you really accomplished something. I want to thank all of our students for their participation, Hayward's teachers for encouraging their students to use their imagination and engage their students about the importance of the environment, conservation, and helping to make our community greener and more sustainable.
Este año recibimos 464 entradas de 37 escuelas de Hayward, entonces realmente para los ganadores es un gran logro. Quiero agradecerles a todos los estudiantes por su participación, a los maestros de Hayward por animar a los estudiantes a usar su imaginación con respecto a la importancia del medio ambiente, la conservación y de hacer que nuestra comunidad sea más verde y sostenible.
I would also like to thank our staff from Environmental Services who make this event possible each year, including Nicole Grecky, Carolyn Weissman, Eric Pearson, Jeff Crump, and Linda Coe.
También me gustaría agradecer al personal del Departamento de Servicios Ambientales anteriormente nombrados, quienes hacen posible este evento cada año.
And finally, I want to...
They're in the back over there. Raise your hand. All right, there they are.
There they are, yes. They're
All
going to be
right,
coming
good.
up in a minute to help us, I think. So, and finally, I want to thank our judges from the Hayward Arts Council who evaluated and selected our winners. Pat Doyne, Lanny Amido, Tressa Marquez, Bruce and Kathy Roberts, Jayendra Singh, and Rui Sirop.
I think we have some of the judges here. Well, there was one. He left. Well, okay.
But we do thank the judges. And go ahead, yeah, sorry.
Por último, queremos agradecer a nuestros jueces, también previamente nombrados del Consejo de Artes de Hayward, quienes evaluaron y seleccionaron a nuestros ganadores.
So now I would like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Councilmember Zermeño. As I said earlier, he and I are, along with Councilmember Marquez, are members of our Sustainability Committee. So Councilmember Zermeño, take it over.
Thank you very much.
Ahora quisiera pasar la presentación a mi colega, el concejal Cermeño, y como ya había mencionado, el concejal Cermeño y yo, conjunta con la concejala Márquez, somos miembros del Comité de Sostenibilidad de Hayward.
So as the mayor mentioned, this is the 39th year that we celebrate Mom Earth. So each year, the residents, all of you, demonstrate the strong commitment in maintaining a clean, attractive, and green community, the city of Hayward.
Como el alcalde ya ha mencionado, esto es nuestro 39º año que celebramos la Madre Tierra. Cada año los residentes de la ciudad de Hayward demuestran su fuerte compromiso de mantener la comunidad limpia y atractiva.
So and this is the green message to you. All right, we can each do our part every day by sorting our waste properly at home. As a city, we're trying to decrease the amount of waste going to the landfills. So at home, make sure that you place the recyclables in a cart, and then and the green cart, of course, and then the food waste and yard trimmings in another cart. Okay, food waste does not belong in the garbage. All right, picking up litter and sorting our waste properly are just some of the ways you can help protect the environment and help the city be green and clean.
Entonces, un mensaje verde para ustedes. Cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer nuestra parte para todos los días, clasificando nuestros residuos correctamente en casa. Como ciudad, estamos tratando de reducir la cantidad de desechos que van al vertedero. Entonces, en casa, asegúrese de colocar los materiales reciclables en los contenedores de reciclaje y de poner a trabajar nuestros contenedores ecológicos, llenándolos con desechos de alimentos y recortes de jardín. Los desperdicios de comida no pertenecen a la basura. Recoger la basura y clasificarla adecuadamente son solo algunas de las formas en que podemos ayudar a proteger el medio ambiente.
So this year's contest includes entries on water and energy conservation. Water saves the earth, all right? And renewable energy, recycling and composting, a litter-free environment, environmental justice. The contest is an important part of our celebration of Earth Day, Earth Week, Earth Month. And our Clean and Green campaign this Saturday, as the mayor mentioned. So this event gives the students, the teachers, and the parents an opportunity to describe through words and art their commitment to a more sustainable environment. We applaud you.
Entre los temas tratados este año está la conservación de agua y energía, que el agua es lo que salva la tierra, la energía renovable, el reciclaje y compostaje, un ambiente libre de basura y la justicia ambiental. Este concurso es una parte importante de nuestra celebración del día, semana y mes de la tierra y de los días de limpieza, así como el evento ya mencionado para el 23 de abril. Así los estudiantes y los maestros tienen la oportunidad de escribir a través de palabras y transmitir a través de imágenes su compromiso con un medio ambiente más sostenible.
And so now it's our pleasure to announce the winners of this year's poster contest. So, hey, everybody say hello. Everybody say thank you. Everybody say applause. There's the excitement. There's a frame. Mayor, could you lift up the frame so they can see it? All right. That's a certificate. All right. Family members are invited to come up and take a picture as your child receives the award. Everybody will smile. Interpreting.
Los miembros de la familia están invitados a subir y tomar una foto mientras su hijo o hija recibe su premio. Por favor, una sonrisa de todos.
Each of the winners will receive a gift certificate that can be used in a variety of stores in Hayward because we shop Hayward first. See? Second place winners will receive a $150 gift certificate. Oh my God, I should have entered this. And the first place winner will receive $200 gift certificate. Yeah, what are you gonna do with all that money? All right, the gift certificate is attached to the back of the gift certificate. So if you lose it and I find it, I spend it. Okay, those participating virtually, sadly they will be on the Zoom, will receive a gift certificate in the mail after the ceremony.
Cada uno de nuestros ganadores recibirá un certificado de regalo que se puede usar en una variedad de tiendas en Hayward, porque queremos comprar en Hayward primero. Los ganadores del segundo lugar recibirán un certificado de $150, que yo también hubiera entrado, y los del primer lugar recibirán un certificado de $200, que se van a hacer con tanto dinero. El certificado se adjunta al reverso de su certificado enmarcado. Si lo pierden y lo encuentro yo, me lo voy a gastar. Aquellos que participen virtualmente, infelizmente, recibirán su certificado después por correo.
Sí. I want to encourage every one of you who wins a certificate to stay until the end because you may win a grand prize, a brand new Porsche. Come on.
Me gustaría pedirles
I'm
a todos
joking.
los-
Oh, the April Fool's Day. That's April Fool's joke. All right. So there will be a prize, so stick around. Okay,
Me gust-
interpreter?
Me gustaría pedirles a todos los estudiantes ganadores que se queden hasta el final de la presentación para tener la oportunidad de ganar uno de los 2 premios adicionales, uno que es un nuevo Porsche, perdón que el Día de los Inocentes ya ha pasado.
We will present the awards starting with the youngest and then the elders, okay? All right. And then slide number 7 is the first grade, kindergarten through first grade. All right.
Suggest that y'all know how to do the little fist, the air fist bump. How to have it. This is one of my favorite. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite things to do every year is shake the hands of all of the youth who come up here who have worked so hard and won these prizes. And I don't think we'll do that this year, but let's do this, okay? An air fist bump, all right?
We should also get, oh, you're taking photos? Okay, all right. So we have 2 folks giving away the awards and shaking hands and smiling. And the first winner is, second place winner is Annabelle Sophie Leon Hernandez from Schaefer Park Elementary School. Look how cute that is. Oh my goodness. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, yeah, you get it. Okay. Photo. Okay, good. Parents, if you want a photo, make sure that you do this, okay? I see a principal here too. So if principals also are entitled to a photograph. Okay, and the first prize winner of the kindergarten through first grade is, and this is for, first prize is Isaac Kim of Valley View Charter Prep. Where's Isaac here? Look at, all right, coming up right there. All right, very good. Okay, look over there. Wait, okay. No, did you get, Mom, did you get a photo? Okay, all right. Okay, all right, there's your mom over there. Okay. All right, so that, and now we're going to, that was slide number 8. Slide number 9, and you'll be able to see them at the screen, and then also there are some booklets out in the back, so make sure you pick one up, and the kids can autograph them, because they'll be valuable in 10 years. All right, slide number 9, for the kindergarten through first grade poster category. The second place winner is Scarlett Wong from Stratford School, not Stanford, Stratford. All right, look, oh my God. Mom, get up closer, Mom, come on, don't be shy. Okay, all right, there you go, there's Mom. Okay. Okay, there you go. Yeah. If I take a photo, I really have to go down. Very good, congratulations. Slide number 10 is the first place winner, Elisa Lee from Stonebrae Elementary School. Elisa Lee. Oh, there she is. Mom and Dad are happy. Okay. That was slide number 10. And there's a turtle over there. Okay, good. Is this exciting or is this exciting? Huh? This is great, huh? All right, we're going to slide number 11, which is second through the third grade writing category. Oh, there's a cat up there. Our cat is named Splat. All right, second place winner is Riley Avenue Josh from Stonebrae Elementary School. All right, where's, okay, I get the check, she's not here. Oh, she's here. Oh, okay. All right, there's Mom. Did you bring a camera, Mom? Who's? Oh, they're over there. Get up close. We have a shy parent. Okay, all right, yeah. Good. All right. Excellent. All right, good. Slide number 12 is the first place winner, and there is up there, and it's Camila Garcia Araujo from Cherryland Elementary School. There's Camila. All right. All right, good. Yeah, without the mask is good. Come on, Camila. Smile. Show your teeth. All right. Slide number 13, up above. Oh, that one's a good one. All right, and that is the second place winner of the poster category, Natalie Huang from Stonebray Elementary School. So what's with Stonebray? All these students from Stonebray, it's excellent. All right, turn around. Okay. Oh, there you go. Oh, cute. Are you happy, Mom? Are you a happy mom? Thank you. Very good. Thank you. And then slide 14 is the first place winner, Noah Jones from Lorenzo Manor Elementary School. Lorenzo, where are you? There he is. All right. All right. Okay, good. A big smile from Mom. And Grandma's here. All right. Grandma was my student at Chabot College, something like 50 years ago. Oh, no. Okay, wait a minute. All of you, get in there. All right, slide number 15 goes to the 4th through the 5th grade writing category. And the second place winner, oh, look at that smile. Oh, that's great. Okay, Tiberius Rape from All Saints Catholic School, who's unfortunately not able to be here. He's up there somewhere. All right, I get the check because he's not here. I don't? No? Okay. All right, slide 16 is the first place winner is Adeline Kim from Connecting Waters Charter School, East Bay. All right, is she here? Oh, there she is. All right. Mom, get close, Mom. Get close. All right, there you go. All right, good. All right. Okay, how about one with the little one too? Get it, both of them. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. Oh, wait. So taken. All right. Take with your phone. Yeah, there we go. Benjamin is a proud parent of the first place winner a long time ago. Thank you and congratulations. All right, so we are now over on slide 17. As you can see up there, we're now in the 4th and 5th grade poster category. The second place winner is Amelie Itzel Leon Hernandez from Schaefer Elementary School. All right, good, excellent, good job. The parents and the grandparents and the uncles are all here. I hear the grandparents came all the way from Sinaloa, Mexico, just for today's event. You guys, how about a photo with the grandparents? Yeah, los abuelos, ándale, métanse. Órale, adentro. Órale, muy bien. Yeah, that's 3 generations. Excelente. Buen trabajo, Benjamín y Janet. Enseña los dientes, ándale. Enseña los dientes. Oh, ya no tiene. He said he doesn't have any more teeth. I told him to show his teeth. De nada. Okay, very good. So that was the poetry second grade. The first place, slide number 18, the first place winner is Samuel Chu from California Crosspoint Academy. Very good. Excellent. All right, turn around. Turn the certificate around. Samuel, remember, if you lose the check, I keep it. If you lose the envelope. Okay? Slide 19, it's the 6th through the 8th grade writing category. And up there, and as you can see, this is the second place winner, Faisal Rowan from Cesar Chavez Middle School. All right, Faisal. All right. Very good. Happy young man. Faisal, can we see your teeth, please? Okay, yeah, see your dad. All right, there we go. All right. See, a happy dad, a happy artist. All right, very good. And then slide number 20 is a first place winner, Taskiya Khan from the Key Academy Charter School. All right. Very good. Excellent. Are we having the rest of the family? Yeah, come on. Don't be shy. Come on, Dad. Is that the uncle? Oh, the teacher. Come on up. All four. All right. Oh, okay. Well, okay. The dad is kind of shy, so he's gonna sit. Okay. All right. See. So we're now off to 21. Slide 21, which is the 6th through 8th grade poster category. The second place winners Anne Marie M. Velasco from Longwood Elementary School. Anne Marie. All right. Very good. Get closer. There you go. All right. Excellent. Mayor, they're getting taller now, aren't they? Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah. All right, very good. Okay. And then slide number 22. Oh, I like this one. I really like it. We should frame it, put it somewhere. First place winner, Analia Valle from Burbank Elementary School. All right. All right, good. Family. We need to see your teeth. That we need to see. Where's the teeth? How many? Okay, no teeth. Okay. Mother is here, father is here, principal. No? Okay. All right. Okay. No teeth in this picture. All right. Very good, muchacha. Very good. All right. And that was, entonces, now slide 23. Slide 23 goes to the high school category. Oh, these are the professionals. Okay. Second place winner is Samiksha Lingan from Hayward High School. Apologies if I did not get the name correctly. Yes, colleague Salinas is also a Hayward High School student graduate. So, thank you very much. And then joining us virtually is Grace Lee from California Cross Point Academy. And there she is. Very good. Congratulations. All good things must come to an end. And we have 2 more winners. Slide 25 shows high school category, poster category. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Bicycle. Today, by the way, is Bicycle Day in the United States. And the second place winner is Samuel Fung from the California Cross Point Academy. All right. Okay. You have a mom and an aunt. Take a photo with both of you and come on, get in there. Yeah. Get the whole family in there. All right. Good. So raise your hand if you're the mom. Okay. Last but not least, slide 25 is the first place winner, Hannah Smith from Tennyson High School. All right, Tennyson. Very good. Most goal answers, 100%. All right, see? Are we going to see teeth or not? All right, good. All right, good, good. Get the photo. Yeah. Well, congratulations to all the winners. This is amazing. This is tremendous. What will we see next year? Whoa, I'm all excited about it. Okay, so teachers, we want to acknowledge some of the Hayward finest teachers. We have some like what? I don't know how many teachers we have in Hayward, but there are quite a few. One of them is Jeanette, right there. Raise your hand, Jeanette. There's a teacher right there. And there's another one over there. Raise your hand. Okay. All right, thank you for encouraging your students to participate in the event and helping them along the way. Each teacher with a first place poster or winter writing winner will receive $100. How come they get money and we don't? Okay. Each teacher with a second place winner will receive a $75 certificate that must be spent in Hayward. No, I'm pulling your leg. These certificates can be used at a variety of stores in Hayward. If you are attending virtually, you get no money. I get it. We will mail the gift certificate for you at the ceremony. Interpreter?
Ahora nos gustaría reconocer a algunos de los mejores maestros de Hayward. Gracias por alentar a sus estudiantes a participar en el evento y ayudarlos en el camino. Cada maestro con un cartel de primer lugar o ganador de escritura recibirá un certificado de regalo de $100. Cada maestro con un ganador del segundo lugar recibirá uno de $75. Estos certificados se pueden usar en una variedad de tiendas en Hayward y si asiste virtualmente le enviaremos su certificado después de la ceremonia.
So we will first recognize the teachers of the writing category. We ask that you remain standing near the mayor until all the teachers have been recognized and a photo taken. So would the following teachers please come and receive your gift card? Remember, if you're not here, I get it. Okay, so Amy Bain from Valley View Charter Prep. Okay. Melissa Arteaga from Schaefer Park Elementary School. Maybe they're doing teacher prep. Miss Citra from Cherryland Elementary School. Okay. Miss Grace Joou from Stonebray Elementary School. Cherry Silva from Connecting Waters Charter School Prep. No? Okay. Kevin Ferrier from All Saints Catholic School. Miss Roel Peña from Key Academy Charter School. Oh, there's, all right. Maria Orfanos from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Miss Carrie Fong from California Crosspoint Academy. Israel Hernandez from Hayward High School. Okay. You know, they're probably preparing for tomorrow's class, so just go easy on them. Okay, so congratulations to these teachers. This teacher, remember, stick around. Don't move yet. Okay. Please give him a round of applause. Or them too. No, I think we want you to stay until everybody's called. We will now recognize the teachers of the poster winners and hope some of them are here. Will the following teachers please come forward to accept their gift card? Again, we ask you to remain with the mayor for a photo. Okay, so slide 28. Alice Chu from Stonebray Elementary School. Aparna Pendela from Stratford School. Oh, there she is. All right, good. Miss Ma from Lorenzo Manor Elementary School. Oh, okay. Miss Grace Yu from Stonebray Elementary School. Oh, that wasn't a teacher. Okay. Mr. Tommy Chan from California Crosspoint Academy. Okay. Miss Montserrat Rueda Hernandez from Schaefer Elementary School. Oh, okay. Inmaculada Butler from Burbank Elementary School. Okay. Miss Meyer from El Longwood Elementary School. Mr. Karen Kelly from Tennyson High School. All right. Congratulations to all teachers. Please give these two folks and the folks who could not make it a round of applause. They still remember the moment that you're eligible for a brand new Mercedes-Benz. No, it's actually just a certificate. All right, so we will now draw names of the students of this year's for 2 bonus prizes of $200 each. One basket contains the names of all the poster winners, and the other basket contains the names of all the writing winners, okay? Mayor Holiday will draw one from each basket. Make sure that she closes her eyes, okay? So watch her eyes, okay?
Ahora vamos a sortear los nombres de los estudiantes para los 2 premios adicionales que son certificados de $200 de cada uno. Una canasta contiene los nombres de todos los ganadores de los carteles y la otra contiene los nombres de todos los de la escritura. Ahora la alcaldesa Holiday va a sacar un nombre de cada canasta con los ojos cerrados, por favor.
So the first winner is Elisa Lee. Where's Elisa Lee? All right, come on up. That's pretty good. All right. And she is the winner. That's excellent. Wow. What is she going to do with $200? Wait. No, we're going to take a photo of the 2 winners. That was a raffle poster. That was a raffle winner.
Oh my gosh, you mixed them up. Uh-oh.
What did we do? This is writing. Okay, ready? Okay, just one. And the winner, Adeline Kim. All right, wow, very good. All right, another photo. So we have announced all the winners. We have thanked everybody, but we cannot thank you enough. My colleagues, all of my colleagues up here, Salinas, Slamnin, and then Marquez, Wahab, and Andrews, and of course our mayor. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The city of Hayward thanks you, all the city staff, maintenance, especially maintenance and landscaping, because they're the ones who clean up. They're the ones who, they're true heroes of the city of Hayward. Our maintenance. He works for streets. You were the streets?
Thank you. Look at him.
They are the true heroes. And we thank you, parents, teachers. Without you, these kids would not be doing what they do. We thank you very much. Let's see. Let's see, what the Mayor Holiday returns to the dais and says the following message, and I go back to.
I'll say it from down here because, first of all, I wanted to say this isn't in the script, but this is a great thing. I think this is new. I don't recall that we've done this in the past, and I am going to cherish my copy and read hope the essays. Are they in here too?
Yes.
Oh, they're online. Okay, well, I'm going to read them because I know that you all worked really hard on them. And you know, it's very important we celebrate Earth Day, but we need to celebrate it every day and remember these lessons. And I think our young people, it probably means more to them than anyone, than any of us older people, that we protect this earth. And so let's follow their lead and their guidance in these essays and posters and take care of our earth. Thank you all for participating. And this brings to a conclusion our awards presentation for the 2022 City of Hayward Earth Day Poster and Writing Contest. So congratulations again to all the winners, the families, the teachers. We very much appreciate this, and it's been a great evening, and I hope that you all have a great evening as you go on with yours. We will now go on with ours.
Right. Saturday, May 11th, we are going to have an Arbor Day celebration at Cesar Chavez Middle School, and we will be planting some trees there. So if you'd like to join us, drop by, 9 a.m. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias a todos.
All right, for all of you who are watching and aren't actually here in the chambers, our audience has significantly diminished, but we still have a few people left who are interested in the rest of our agenda this evening. So we are going to move on now to public comments. And just again, I really do want to congratulate all of those young people and their parents and their teachers. Just a really good achievement there. So with that, I'm going to open public comments and ask if there's any but one. Well, I'm going to ask our city clerk to explain. Yes, and as you can see on the screen, this is your opportunity to address the council on items not listed on the agenda or information items, and we welcome your comments. We request that speakers present their remarks in a respectful manner within established time limits and focus on issues which directly affect the city or are within the jurisdiction of the city. And as the council is prohibited by state law from discussing items not listed on the agenda, items will be taken under consideration and may be referred to staff. So with that, I will open public comments and ask if there's anybody either here in the room or online who would like to make one. Do we have any cards or anything like that?
Not for public comment, Mayor Halliday.
All right, so seeing no one coming forward and no one raising their hand among the attendees online, I'll close public comments. Okay, and unanimously approved too. Thank you, Councilmember Salinas, for closing public comments. And I'll second, and we'll all approve. And then we will move on now to comments from our city manager this evening, Ms. McAdoo.
I actually have no city manager comments this evening, so
Well,
we will move right along.
We are moving right into our agenda. Now we have come to action items, which includes items 1, I believe, through 12, is it tonight? Through 13. 1 through 13. Is there anyone either on the council or online who would like to pull, either on the council or a member of the public who would like to pull any of these items off of the agenda before we vote on them? I'm not seeing any hands going up. I'm not seeing that we have any speakers. So I would entertain a motion. Councilmember Salinas has moved items 1 through 13, and Councilmember Zermeño has seconded the motion. On the motion by Councilmember Salinas, seconded by Councilmember Zermeño, would you call the roll, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews. Aye. Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez, absent. Councilmember Salinas. Yes. Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermeño.
Sí.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes, and the motion carries with 6 aye votes and 1 member absent. So with that, we have now come to the item probably the rest of you who are left here in the audience have come for, and that is a public hearing on the sale and development of Parcel Group 5, well known as Bunker Hill. It's a proposed development of a new residential subdivision with 74 new single-family homes and 18 accessory dwelling units and related site improvements. And I won't go on there, but we will be hearing about this, starting off with a report from our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Ott.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Jennifer Ott, Assistant City Manager. And this presentation is going to be kind of divided into 2. Acting Principal Planner Leah Schmidt's going to kick us off on the planning approvals or the entitlements, and then she will kick it back to me to talk about the disposition and development agreement, which is really the property owner piece of this and the sale of this to Truemark Homes. And then Truemark Homes, also the applicant in this case, has a short presentation to go over a couple of things as well. So there is a lot of detail there. We have had some public comments. It's obviously a major subdivision, so bear with us as we kind of walk through those details and make sure that we've presented all of these details and talked about the staff's response to those comments, and make sure we're providing all that information to the public. So I'm going to turn it over now to Acting Principal Planner Leah Schmidt.
you so much. It's really nice to be here tonight with all of you virtually. Good evening, Mayor Halliday, members of the council and staff. So this is a public hearing on development, the sale and development of parcel group 5, and I'm going to share my screen. So one moment. And if someone could say, yes, do you see parcel group 5 Bunker Hill development PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, thank you. You never know, I don't know what screen's flying around here. Okay, so we're gonna kick it off. The site is shown here in pink. It's about 37 acres in size, and it's steeply sloped from the east to the west. The eastern part is on the sort of right-hand side of your slide. And then the west is sloping down to the left-hand side of the slide. The site is bounded by 2 riparian corridors on the northeast and southwest, and then Bunker Hill Boulevard and Maitland Drive kind of run right through the middle of it, and those are public roadways. Right now, the only vehicular access to the site is from Central Boulevard and Westview Way. So those are through existing neighborhoods. Mission Boulevard, which is over here in the yellow on the far left corner of your slide, is about a quarter mile away. The surrounding land uses include Cal State East Bay to the east of the project site, and then residential neighborhoods around that, some vacant land just to the south across Harder Road. So I do want to provide a bit of background on the project because it is long and it's unique. This is one of the Caltrans 238 properties that the city acquired in 2016. And the city acquired those properties with a few goals in mind. One, to ensure that they were sold to developers that would redevelop these properties consistent with city goals and policies. And then also to ensure that there was public outreach and that there was a process associated with how those sites would develop. Several of the properties have already come before the city council. Parcel groups 1 and 10 down at the right hand or down at the bottom of the screen over here in black and blue is the Sohey project. Parcel group 2 right next to it, True Life. Parcel group 3 is the Eden Affordable Housing Project. And then the project before you tonight is parcel group 5, which is indicated by the red arrow. The city contracted with an architectural and master planning firm to develop a master development plan for parcel group 5. That development plan was adopted by the city council in 2019 after a robust public outreach and planning process. Following adoption of the master plan, the city issued a request for proposals and then entered into an exclusive negotiating agreement with the applicant, TrueMark Properties, in December of 2019. TrueMark submitted the development application that's before you tonight in August of 2020. So following submittal of that development permit application, the developer and the city continue to hold neighborhood meetings just to share progress in the application and plans with the surrounding neighborhood. Similar to the master plan process, community concerns during those outreach meetings, which were held collectively and individually, revolved around the core issues of sort of retaining large lot development consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods and the rural feeling of the area, retaining large portions of the site as open space, the desire for a foothill trail and other sort of pedestrian amenities, minimizing traffic in surrounding neighborhoods was a big one, and then making sure there was adequate parking for the new residences. I mean, all of those items were addressed by the applicant in the proposed development. So following the Planning Commission meeting, staff did receive correspondence from Friends of San Lorenzo Creek as well as Sherman Lewis. Sherman Lewis's inquiries related to trail alignment and sort of elevations, just sort of asking details about that. And responses to those questions and comments were provided directly to him via email. The correspondence from Friends of San Lorenzo Creek was a bit more extensive, and some of it is generally summarized in the staff report, which was included as attachment 1 to your to this item. However, staff did receive additional correspondence following the release of the staff report, so I think it's important to sort of outline the main points that Friends of San Lorenzo Creek made in their correspondence and how the city responded for the council members and the public to hear. So in one of the earlier pieces of correspondence, the Friends inquired about the proposed development relative to the riparian corridors and wanted to see sections and distances from creeks, from riparian areas. Staff did provide the requested information and included Water Board and California Department of Fish and Wildlife on the correspondence because they were included. And it's important to note that at lot 34, which is about the closest point of development to the riparian corridor and creek, the edge of development is approximately 60 feet horizontally and then 30 feet vertically. So there's a distance and then a drop from the edge of the creek. And it's important to note that the developer was very deliberate in how the site was set up. And those distances, both vertically and horizontally, were really set because of investigations that were made of the site. WRA are environmental consultants and biologists, and they conducted sort of on-the-ground site investigations as well as aerial investigations to assess the site for the presence of streams, wetlands, riparian vegetation, biological resources. And they prepared site assessment memos that the applicant used to sort of create the boundaries of the development with the intention of staying outside of those riparian corridors and really avoiding wetland streams and riparian vegetation. And then WRA reviewed the tentative map and all the plans that were also reviewed by the city and found that no adverse impacts would occur to the riparian corridors with the inclusion of standard erosion control measures and biological resource measures and surveys, which were included as conditions of approval for the project. So I'm going to share a couple of section drawings to show you the distances of sort of the creek to the riparian corridor to the limits of development. These were included as attachment 15 to the staff report. So on the slide, the sort of blue circle indicates the stream area. Sometimes it's dry, it's not always flowing. But that would be sort of the extent of the water. The red circle up the top shows the edge of the riparian forest. So that's your tree canopy where there's biological resources. And the applicant is not touching anything within the riparian corridor or the creek. That is the intention of the project, is to stay away from those areas. And you can see this is an image of the southern riparian area in section. The limits of the improvements are shown in yellow. So they are well away from both the creek and the riparian area. And here's the northern riparian area, same type of section. You see the creek area, then you see the edge of the riparian forest. That's the tree canopy. Again, nothing being touched in there, no trees being removed, no trees being added. Nothing is being touched in that area. And then you see the edge of the proposed development in yellow. I'm going to go through some other really specific comments. The Friends inquired about using California native landscaping in the riparian and open space areas. Again, the applicant is not touching the riparian corridors, so there's no plantings occurring in there. But staff did, as a response to this comment, add a condition of approval that the applicant create 2 plant palettes. So one plant palette would cover sort of larger open spaces, again, not the riparian corridor, but just larger open spaces where California natives can thrive. The other plant palette would allow for non-natives but non-invasive species that can thrive in these smaller spaces along streets, in yards where California natives don't do as well. Friends inquired about who would be responsible for removal of trash and debris in the riparian corridors. As a response to this comment, staff did add a condition of approval requiring that the developer be responsible for this removal during construction, and that the HOA as property owners would be responsible for removing trash and debris after construction. The Friends requested details on storm drain design and maintenance. Staff clarified in the response that detailed storm drain design occurs typically at improvement plan stage, and that's per standard practice as well as conditions of approval. The creeks are private. They will be maintained by the HOA, except for the existing public outfalls and culverts, which will be maintained by the city. The Friends also inquired about repair of existing storm drain pipes in the creek bed. Again, final drainage design will be determined at the improvement plan stage. And it's important to note that any flows from the proposed development are required to match the flows that are coming from the site currently. So it will be collected and conveyed to the creek. to ensure that there's consistent flow and it doesn't, overwhelm the creek areas. And all of this will be determined at the improvement plan stage. All attempts, and this is the same with many of the answers that you're going to hear tonight, all attempts are going to be made to avoid conducting any work, including removal or repair of pipes in the riparian corridor and creek. And that's because touching those areas would require some extensive permitting that could take a long time. It could be expensive and uncertain. And so the applicant is really making every effort, as they have with the whole site plan, to stay away from those areas. Friends inquired about repair and replacement of an old road that washed out in the area. So a road due to erosion that was sort of like an informal access point created by residents did wash out. And the development didn't cause it. And again, there's nothing in the proposed development that's going to exacerbate the condition. And the applicant is, as I already described, attempting to stay away from any work within or the creek or the riparian areas. Same with the next comment, which is related to holes in the creek bed. Staff doesn't know where the holes came from. We're thinking maybe they were slides, but those slides occurred prior to the development. They were not caused by the proposed project, and they won't be impacted by the development. Again, all attempts are going to be made to avoid conducting any work within the riparian corridor and creek area. The friends also inquired about access to the creek for trail connections, for people to get down. Access to the creeks was not envisioned in the master plan and isn't connected to the trail that's planned as part of the project. And it is not intended to be provided as part of this project. And then there was a comment related to invasive ivy that is currently growing in riparian area. As already noted, the riparian corridors will be privately owned and maintained by the HOA. And removal of ivy would be conducted as part of that ongoing maintenance if it's determined to be consistent with all the regulations related to plant removal in those areas. So that's sort of an outline of the comment by comment and city's responses. City staff has made every effort to be responsive and to be transparent. And staff feels very confident that we have addressed all of the comments that we've received from Friends of San Lorenzo Creek and anyone related to sort of those related to creek and trail alignment that we've received prior to this meeting. So moving from sort of background and responses to comments, we're going to go into the proposed project. So this project does consist of sort of multiple steps. The entitlement before you is a zone change from residential natural preserve district to planned development district. And the purpose of that PD district is to allow for flexible development standards that are consistent with the approved master development plan as well as the general plan. Specifically, the flexible standards would allow for smaller lots than would be permitted under the RNP zoning. The zoning currently requires 20,000 square foot lots, while the PD district would allow for a range of lot sizes, provided that all the lots together don't exceed, that the average lot size across all of the lots doesn't go below 10,000 square feet. The proposed development consists of 74 lots that would range from about 5,100 square feet to 23,400 square feet, with the average lot size across all those lots is 10,200 square feet. So some are much smaller, just a really small handful. Some are more in the mid-range, and then you have a few that are really large. And again, it meets that average 10,000 square foot lot requirement of the master plan. The lots would be developed with single family homes. So you have 74 single family homes, and 18 of those homes would include accessory dwelling units that would be deed restricted to very low income households if they were rented out. The lots would have varied setbacks. There's not one standard consistent setback because it's based on topography and orientation of the home and based on the topography of the site. Each home will include a 2 to 3 car garage as well as space for 2 cars to park in a driveway. In addition, there would be 81 on-street parking spaces. The proposed project, besides the subdivision and construction of new homes, also includes construction of a new roadway connector from Bunker Hill Boulevard to Carlos B. Boulevard. And it will have right in, right out controlled access because for safety purposes, because we have heard from the community that there was concerns about speeding and trying to take a left turn out of there due to the conditions of the roadway. The proposed project also includes construction of 3,000 linear feet of foothill trail. The trail will be about 16 feet wide and includes stairs and overlooks. We'll see some images of that later. And then this PD district is sort of morphed through the planning process to include 4 privately owned lots that are located within the boundary of the PD district. And these are privately owned lots. These individuals purchased their homes from Caltrans and would sort of be surrounded by the proposed development. One of the property owners inquired about being included in the PD district in order to take advantage of the flexible development standards that TrueMark is able to take advantage of. Staff talked to TrueMark and the environmental consultants, as we'll describe later, and found that the inclusion of these 4 homes and allowing them to benefit from the same flexible development standards would not result in an environmental impact and would be beneficial to those property owners. Those homes would be subject to the RS district standards, which are just allow for like smaller setbacks and smaller lot sizes than the RMP district's zoning. Here's the site plan showing the project site. So just to orient you, Carlos B is right here, sort of on the top left side of the slide. You're going to see the new connector right along here coming to Bunker Hill Boulevard, which currently exists, and then Bunker Hill Boulevard would be reconstructed as part of the project. It'll have sidewalks along one side. And then it would come down to Central Boulevard. Maitland Drive would also be reconstructed with the proposed project. Bunker Hill Court is right over here, and that sort of is one of the flatter parts of the site, and then a new sewer pump station will be built over here. And then over here, you see the riparian corridors kind of at the edges of the development. The trail, which is a little bit difficult to see on here, is sort of runs in this yellow line from Carlos B and then along the ridge at the top of the line, connects to Cal State East Bay over here, and then to some stairs between 2 of the lots, 33 and 34, down to Bunker Hill Boulevard, and those that sidewalk. The light yellow houses are uphill houses, so they have a different design than the houses on the other side of the street, which are sort of the tan. Those are the downhill houses. Maitland Drive has the uphill homes. The sort of darker yellow homes are called flat, sort of flat designs because they're flatter lots. And so just briefly gonna go through the architecture. So this is a sample of the uphill homes. The homes are going to range from about 3,000 to 3,500 square feet. They'll have 4 bedrooms. And there's 2 different styles of these homes, like different architectural facades with 2 different color schemes. So altogether you have 4 different potential looks for this uphill home. All of the 18 ADUs would be located within the footprint of the uphill homes, and the ADUs would be about 430 square feet. So when you're looking at this home, you're not going to know that it houses an ADU as well as a main home. The ADU entrance would be off to the side, but all the ADUs would be located within this particular form. The architecture throughout the entire development is contemporary, which is consistent with some of the newer development in the Bay Area. The design, contemporary design, has a sort of flat roofs, right angles, building pop outs and sort of layering to break up the massing of the building. The home will incorporate a mix of materials, sort of wood, as you can see from this one, some stone elements, stucco, and then metal railings, and then a sort of richer color palette with the darker colors maybe on the bottom, and then lighter colors on upper floors. The homes will be 2 to 3 story, and any homes that have a 3rd story will be sort of pulled back to sort of create some relief along the roadway. So here's a sample elevation of the downhill home. Again, you're seeing the same sort of clean lines, so pretty straight lines, right angles, mix of materials on the front and the back. And then here's a sample elevation of the flat lots. The flat lots are going to have, the uphills and downhills have the two different styles, the two different color schemes, so 4 different options for how that looks. The flat lots, because there's only 8 of these, would have 2 different styles with different color schemes. And they're, you know, the homes are about 3,000 square feet and have 4 bedrooms. And let's see, the next architectural site plan I think is really important to show you, because this shows you what the downhill and uphill styles and color schemes would look like next to each other. So as you can see, there's no 2 identical home styles or colors next to each other. And the sort of the mix of color, house type, elevation type with different finishes, in addition to sort of the curvilinear street and the varying topography, will just create complexity from the streetscape. And then here's a view along Bunker Hill Boulevard, and you can see those uphill homes to the right, and then the downhill homes to the left. This slide shows the pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicular connectivity throughout the site. Again, the roadways access is going to come from the new Carlos B connector along Bunker Hill Boulevard and Maitland Drive. The project site will also have sidewalks along Maitland, Bunker Hill, as well as the trail, and some on-street bicycle signage to meet up with the Foothill Trail where it connects on the street. And from here, I'm going to hand this over to Transportation Planner Stephen Chang to sort of walk through. Oh, sorry. Really fast, let me talk about the Foothill Trail, which is actually arguably one of the coolest and most interesting parts of the project. I saw Stephen pop up. So the Foothill Trail, again, is about 16 feet wide. It's the major pedestrian amenity of the project. It'll run from Carlos B through the project site to some sort of these stairs that take you down to Bunker Hill Boulevard. And I'm pointing it out in red so you can really just see that alignment. And then here's what you can see. The image to the left is sort of at the top of the ridge, what the trail will look like when you're on that multi-use path. On the right-hand side, you can see what those stairs might look like. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but sort of people use these stairs and these walks as exercise, and you can go in a big loop. It'll have some wayfinding signage as well as 2 overlooks, which are sort of indicated right here and then right here, where people could have, you know, where there will be picnic benches and people can stop and, you know, just sit down and take in the sights up at that top of upper ridge. So from here, I will hand this over now to Transportation Planner Stephen Chang to talk about traffic calming and transportation demand management measures.
Thank you, Leah. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So for this project, a thorough traffic study was completed by the city's on-call consultant to determine the level of transportation impacts or any operational deficiencies that are related to the project. The traffic study found that the project would generate 63 AM peak hour trips and 84 PM peak hour trips. To put that into perspective, when those volumes are distributed onto the local roadway network, that's about 1 car per minute for the most congested hour of the day. The traffic studies found that there were no new significant impacts caused by the project or operational deficiencies. However, the project will be making several improvements along their frontage, including construction of sidewalks and 81 on-street parking spaces mostly distributed along Bunker Hill Boulevard and Maitland Drive. The project will also be installing a Class 3 bike route along Westview Way and Central Boulevard, as well as some traffic calming improvements in the surrounding existing neighborhood. And those traffic calming devices include stop signs, centerline striping, as well as some others that I'll be sharing with you in just a little bit. Additionally, the project will be providing funding towards future traffic calming measures, as well as connections for future bike lanes and pedestrian connectivity. Leah, can you go to the next slide, please? So this slide just shows some of the traffic calming devices that will be implemented as part of the project at the Westview Way and Harder Road intersection. This includes a dashed green bike lane for higher visibility, as well as a new right turn lane that is going on westbound Harder into Westview Way. You can also see that there will be a center line striping that would be added. We found that centerline striping is very helpful in slowing people down because it narrows the roadways, and this has been seen throughout the city. You can also see on this slide that there will be an addition of sharrows, which are as part of the Class 3 bike route on Westview. Next slide, please. At the intersection of Central Boulevard and Westview Way, there will be some modifications made to the existing two-way stop sign. There will be an addition of a third stop sign there, so it operates essentially as an always stop. The stop sign will also be moved closer to the intersection to provide better visibility. Next slide, please. This slide shows some of the conceptual traffic calming devices that could be implemented as part of the project's contribution towards future traffic calming. So the items that you see on this slide are conceptual at this stage. The plan is to take in community feedback and further evaluate the stretch of roadway once the project has been fully opened and we start seeing some of that traffic, start using the streets to determine the speeds and also to take in feedback from the community. Next slide. So as Leah mentioned before, we are implementing some turn restrictions at the connection of Bunker Hill Boulevard and Carlos B. This is the new connector that will be connecting the project to Carlos B Boulevard. We heard from the community and members of the council that there were some concerns regarding allowing left turns out of this location. So an additional analysis was prepared by staff and our consultant. We took a look at this in fairly good amount of detail, including we did a traffic signal warrant. The intersection did not meet the traffic signal warrants based on the amount of volume that are expected and historical crash data. However, we could essentially kind of meet the same goals by implementing a right turn only, so prohibiting lefts coming out of Bunker Hill. Vehicles would come up Bunker Hill, make a right, and then if you wanted to go westbound on Carlos B, there are actually two intersections further downstream here where you can go ahead and make a U-turn. And I'll go ahead with that. I'll go ahead and hand the presentation back to you.
Thank you. So moving on, sort of finishing up the project description, another really essential component of this project is related to the affordable housing plan. So per the master development plan, the applicant did submit an application that included 8 accessory dwelling units deed restricted for very low income households. Sort of described in the staff report that, you know, some new state laws were brought into effect, and staff worked with HCD and the applicant to bring the proposed project into consistency with Surplus Land Act requirements. And that required adding an additional 10 accessory dwelling units for a total of 18 into the project. And so all of those housing units would be deed restricted for very low income households if they are rented out. In addition to providing those 18 ADUs, the applicant will contribute a percentage of the affordable housing in lieu fee, and that amount is estimated to be about $1.9 million. So just gonna finish up the entitlement portion of this presentation. The proposed zone change is consistent with the general plan density, which requires minimum 10,000 square foot lots, and goals related to redeveloping underutilized parcels, encouraging infill development, and creating a connected block and street network, and integrating development into hillsides, among other goals and policies outlined in the staff report. It fulfills the purpose and intent of the planned development district in that it clusters the residential development in a manner to keep about half the site as open space. And then it protects those sensitive riparian corridors. Again, the applicant has pulled all the development away from those edges. And it allows for varied lot sizes and development standards in accordance with the topography of the site. Finally, the project includes amenities such as construction of the Foothill Trail, outlooks, and then it will also, the HOA will also provide ongoing maintenance funding for those publicly accessible amenities. And with that, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Assistant City Manager Jennifer Ott, who will talk about the disposition and development key terms.
Great. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Stephen. So the disposition and development agreement is the document that's used to set forth the terms. It's a contract between the city and, in this case, Trumark Homes to transfer the property. Whereas in most private developments, it's usually just a transfer. We sell you the property, you get to do what you want. In this case, because this is public land, it's not just transfer the property, but it's also we care, or the city cares a lot about what's developed. And so that's why it's called the disposition and development agreement. So there are contract terms related to not only how the property is transferred for how much, but also that the development is then developed in consistent with entitlements, so that the city and the community knows that what's going to get built there is consistent with the vision that was in the master development plan, and then ultimately these entitlements if they're approved this evening. So some of the key terms of what we call a DDA is the purchase price. That's first, that's $14 million. The Caltrans base price is $10.1 million with a net benefit or excess land value to the city of $3.9 million. The land transfer, so just because the council agrees to approve the DDA this evening, ultimately it gets executed, but that isn't, then we don't just immediately transfer the property to the developer. The property, then there are conditions to closing. So once the city wants to make sure that before it transfers the property out of public hands into private hands, that a number of conditions have been met. And I've just listed here, there's a lot of conditions, but the ones we really care about is, again, all in the interest of making sure that, hey, when we let go of the land out of public ownership, there's a lot of certainty that what the development's going to get built. So we will require, obviously, the purchase price at closing. We'll require that there's already been an approved mass grading and phase 1 horizontal infrastructure permit. So those permits are essentially ready to be approved. So we know exactly what's going to get built in that first phase. And then there's an execution of a public improvement agreement, which is very standard for subdivision improvements, and bonds, so that if the worst happens and Trumark stops halfway through the infrastructure development, there are bonds that the city can call on to finish that infrastructure development. We don't, of course, anticipate that happening, but we try to anticipate kind of the worst in these documents to make sure we've protected the city's interests. Another part of the DDA is the schedule and performance milestones. So there is a detailed schedule in the DDA. It talks about the timing for when the close of escrow must occur, the commencement and completion of construction, certificate of occupancy. We try, honestly, we're not trying to be overly, we want to build room for things to kind of happen, and we're not quite sure, but we try to also make sure we have a schedule that moves the project along. And I know that Trumark's very anxious to move the project. But there are these milestones in the developments. The city knows that there's a schedule for completion. Next slide. Also, we do allow infrastructure phasing because it's 74 units. Maybe it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is on a hillside. There's significant grading that has to occur, geotechnical work that needs to occur. And so we do allow the project to be phased from an infrastructure standpoint. But the bonds that we collect are collected at the transfer of the property, but therefore the entire infrastructure. So even though the construction can get phased, we have bonds of protection for all of the infrastructure. And then in addition to kind of belt and suspenders and make sure we're protecting the city's interests and that we have a good assurance that the project will get built, there's actually a guarantee or a vertical guarantee in the entire development that Trumark will enter into or will provide us at closing to help assure that the development will be completed. So those are some of the key terms. We'll execute the disposition development agreement. It gets approved tonight after the second reading of the entitlements, if they get approved tonight. And then, of course, move towards, and that'll be, TrueMark will then spend all of that money on putting their improvement plans together, get all the detailed design, and then ultimately transfer the property to them, hopefully later this year. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, I wrapped up too quickly. The other important component is affordable housing agreement. We will record a regulatory agreement against title to each of the 18 properties that include an affordable ADU. And there are a number of provisions that will be required. If rented, the property owner must obtain city approval of income eligibility, request city approval of rent increases, complete annual reporting confirming the tenant's income eligibility and other information, allow the city to inspect the property and leasing, notify the city about the sale of the property. And while that's kind of the stick, which we want to make sure we have so we can ensure compliance with the affordable housing plan, we also want the carrot, which is to encourage these property owners to actually rent these ADUs. So we do also require that the HOA contract with a management agent who can then market the affordable units to the homeowners and calculate income eligibility. These are single family, these are home households. They might not have experience in those types of things, so a management agent will be available to them to help facilitate the rental of their units in a way that's compliant with the DDA and the Affordable Housing Agreement. Next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Leah again. Thank you.
Thank you. So this project is subject to CEQA. The master development plan underwent review in June of 2019. LSA, an environmental consultant, prepared an addendum to the general plan EIR and sort of evaluated the master development plan for consistency with the general plan EIR and to determine if there were any new impacts from the proposed project or any worse impacts than were already disclosed. In the addendum, which was included as an attachment to your staff report and was included as an attachment to the master plan when it was adopted in 2019, found that there were no new impacts, there was no increase in the severity of impacts, and that the project would not require any revisions to the general plan EIR. And then in January of 2021, LSA was asked to evaluate the inclusion of the 4 privately owned parcels in the zone change, and they found in a memo that was also attached to the staff report that no new impacts or would occur, and there would not be an increase in the severity of impacts due to the sort of like minimal addition of those units. And then it's important to note that accessory dwelling units, whether there's 8 or 18, are not subject to CEQA. So on March 24th, the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this item and voted 4-3 to recommend approval of the proposed project. The commissioners that voted to recommend approval had a couple of points that they wanted staff to communicate to the City Council. They recommended that the council allocate some of the proceeds from the land sale toward affordable housing. The concern was that the ADUs may not be rented out, and that they felt that this might be a good use of some of the funds that are being accrued by the land sale. And then they also recommended that the applicant work with neighbors to address on-street parking concerns that were brought up at that public hearing. And then to soften the architecture, to add some finishes and some colors and some details to make it look less contemporary, less industrial. Some commissioners felt that it was like too stark and cold for the area. Other commissioners liked it, but in general, they just recommended that the applicant work with the community on these 2 items. In response, staff did add a couple of conditions of approval. One, that the architectural plans, that the architecture change and be softened and some other elements added. I think the applicant is going to go into a little bit more detail about this in a moment. And then the applicant did remove 10 on-street parking spaces that sort of lined one of the existing homeowners' lots, and the homeowner did not want to have just her entire lot lined with cars. And so they did remove those on-street parking cars to address that comment. The commissioners that voted against the project were concerned about the deed-restricted ADUs. It was the alternative affordable housing plan. And then one of the commissioners did not think the architecture or site layout was appropriate for the area. And with that, staff does recommend that the City Council adopt the ordinance approving the zone change to Plan Development District, adopt the resolution making findings to approve the zone change vesting tentative map, and then the related environmental analysis, and then adopt the resolution approving Gov Code Section 52201 summary report and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the DBA. And with that, I know the applicant does have a short presentation and they wanted to address the council. And following that presentation, there is staff and consultants and the entire development team here to answer questions. And with that concludes this presentation.
Thank you. That was a very thorough presentation and we appreciate it. And I'm gonna, do we want to go first with the developer presentation or have, perhaps it would be better to have council questions first? And then, yeah, I'm seeing nods here. So we're going to have council questions first so that way the developer can address those questions as they come up. So we will start with Councilmember Zermeño.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, staff. A great presentation, very extensive. I only have one question. If we could go to the slide that deals with connectivity. It has the streets, the pedestrian. I don't know, I just had a question on it. Hope you find it. Right there, that's one. All right, so the blue is the pedestrian connectivity. So if I buy a house on the bottom lot and I want to visit a neighbor on the upper lot, I cannot walk through there because on the right side, there's no blue. So the pedestrian, is that correct? I'm not able to walk from the bottom to the top? That's my question.
I think that, are you talking about along Central Boulevard right here?
Right.
There's no blue there.
Yeah.
That's correct. And I'm gonna kind of defer to Mo Sharma and Stephen Chang, who I know looked at Central Boulevard to add sidewalks along there. And there was a lot of back and forth with the applicant about this. Mo or Stephen or Scott, can one of the engineering teams sort of give some details about this?
So at the moment, my answer is I'm correct. That I cannot walk from the bottom to the top. Okay, thank you for.
You can walk. There's just no sidewalk, but you could walk on street, which is kind of the existing condition.
Oh, okay. So I cannot walk safely on a sidewalk at the moment, the way it is now.
There's no sidewalk in that area.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, are there, let's see, any other questions from council at the moment? Let's see. Not seeing any. So I'm trying to see if I have any. Would you have a question? Okay, Councilmember Salinas. Find the feature on your mic. Oh yeah, there.
Okay, so I have a few. The first one is regarding speed limit. As I was looking at this, I was looking at the traffic calming measures and some of the strategies for that. And what could we do from the outset as we, as we build this, what can we do from the outset to establish a culture of low speed, right? And I say this in context of, I've seen neighborhoods where the speed limit is like 23 miles an hour, or you have sort of these odd numbers. And I was just curious, is that something that we can establish? Does the developer establish that? HOA? Like who establishes that?
So if it's a public street, then that speed limit is actually established by the state under state regulations. So we would be limited to 25 miles per hour on a residential street. If it is a private street, however, the options are a little bit more flexible.
And are we bounded by any, state law, federal law that the lowest could be is 25, or can we establish it to be lower?
We would be bounded to 25 miles per hour on a residential street.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We would be bounded to 25 miles per hour on a public residential street.
I didn't understand that.
We're bound on public streets, we're bound to 25 miles per hour.
We're bounded by 25.
I'd just like to say, even though you might have a speed limit of one level, the way the street is designed can often, as we talk about traffic is really reduce that or encourage slower traffic. And so those were a lot of the thoughts that were presented, both some of the requirements and then conceptual ideas that were presented to actually calm it. So no matter what the speed limit is, that we're trying to really calm traffic.
Yeah. Okay.
And streets that are meandering, that aren't straight, can also, traffic tends to be slower as well.
Okay. So I was looking at, of course, that the turn, the left or the right-hand turn off of Bunker onto Carlos B. And now I understand, in theory, cars will drive safely and slow down Bunker Hill, and they'll make that right-hand turn. And theoretically, they're going to make that right-hand turn on Carlos B, probably go up to that little triangle either at the light and make a U-turn, or they'll go to that little thing at Cal State and turn around and come back down the hill. Or they'll just turn back around, go through the neighborhood and go to Central. So what's being put there, or even in the center of Carlos B, to really prevent, illegal left-hand turns down Carlos B? Because I can just imagine, that happening, Yeah. And I mean, and that is not only cars, right? It's going to be bicycles, it's going to be, walkers. I mean, so what kind of, added elements are we going to put there, or can be put there?
Well, and let me add to that, because that was actually one of my questions too. Yeah. And could you just put that slide of that intersection up and walk us through, what will really prevent people, even though you just tell them they can't turn left, but they'll do it if they want. What is there? And then there was also a mention of flashing beacons for pedestrians. Is that the same place that the trail crosses Carlos B?
So I'll take these questions one at a time. So the mountable curb that you see there is kind of the idea of preventing the vehicles coming up Carlos or Bunker Hill from making that left. That's going to be raised. So it'll be raised enough to prevent your standard passenger vehicle from making that left. It won't prohibit a fire truck from making that left. So if there's an emergency, then a fire truck will be able to go ahead and just drive over that. As far as the median goes, it's a little bit more difficult. Vehicles could theoretically merge into the median and go ahead and make U-turn if there's a space there. The reason why there's a little bit of limitation regarding what you could do with the median is that there are other driveways located adjacent in a very short distance from this intersection. So on the image, you see Tanglewood Court right there. That's less than 100 feet away. So putting a physical median in there is not feasible because you don't want to allow those vehicles to move, either turn in or turn out of those driveways. And Madam Mayor, could you just repeat your last question?
The trail, is that where the trail comes in? And what was the thing about flashing beacon lights?
So yeah, there originally was a plan to put flashing crosswalk and a flashing beacon at this location. However, upon further review by staff, we didn't feel that that was appropriate given the curvature of the roadway and the speeds that we've been observing. We definitely do not want to provide a false sense of security for pedestrians. So the idea
you're not recommending that?
That is correct.
And the does the trail go there too, or is that a little further up? Where the Foothill Trail?
And Leah, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the trail does end here as part of the project.
So that is.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to have people wanting to cross probably on foot.
Yeah, and I think, Madam Mayor, the idea is that that the project is actually contributing an amount of money into a fund to further pedestrian connectivity in the future. And once the Parcel Group 6 project comes online, because proportionally that project is much, much larger than this one, that they would also pay into their fair share into providing that additional connectivity so that we could get the pedestrians across safely at a signalized intersection, which is part of the original plan for Parcel Group 6 near Overlook Drive. And that would be a much safer way for pedestrians to cross Carlos B.
Okay, I hope that we can really make that clear. Go ahead.
It just seems really weird. You know, I mean, I drive up and down that street every day, and the traffic is fast. It's a lot of traffic, even in the evenings. And at night, I mean, I know there's lights out there, but at night, cars drive faster, you know, and I'm just, you know, I'm concerned about, you know, traffic getting on at Carlos B and walkers, because, you know, in the event, let's just say, sort of posing another hypothetical, you know, let's say the 18 ADUs there are all rented by students, right? You're going to have people going to and from across Carlos B. I mean, it's just, you know, it's going to happen. So anyway, I think you know, maybe this is something that we see down the line, and I don't know, you know, the developers, we start to think more about this, but we're going to have to do something there because.
Well, we can take that up when we get to the discussion. Yeah, good point.
So there's that. And I guess the last thing, just regarding just the amount of traffic and just the flow of traffic, is I know we would want you know, traffic to move up to the light and either go down campus, or they're going to make a U-turn and come back down Carlos B. But, you know, are we prepared, or what are we doing to prepare for perhaps Cal State putting up barriers from cars going into that little, you know, that little triangle to make a U-turn? I can just see perhaps, you know, Cal State responding somehow. I don't know. I'm just saying that might be a point of issue if you start getting a lot more traffic going up to campus, turning around and coming down. Just something to think about. Okay, those are my questions as of right now. I do want to hear some more about the affordable housing element, but I'll let the developer talk about that.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any other council members' hands on who are on Zoom. I'm not seeing any here. So we'll move on right now to, and we'll start with, who is the developer here? And okay, let's see.
Yes, Leah Schmidt's going to share her screen, and then
All right, so Ms. Schmidt, do you want to take over at this point and introduce the representatives of the development team, and we'll hear from them now?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen for the presentation, and I believe you'll have Pamela Knighting and Garrett. Sorry, Garrett, I don't remember your last name. They're presenting on the development and the architecture. One moment, please.
Okay, so maybe you can introduce yourself.
Of course. Woo. Okay. Hi, Mayor and council members, and thank you, Leah, and thank you, Jennifer. My name is Pamela Salas Needing. I'm the Director of Community Development with Trumark Homes, and with me here is Garrett Hines, and he's the Vice President of Architecture. Oh, next slide. Sorry, Leah, I keep forgetting that you're in, well, that's my name right there.
Okay.
Today we're going to cover the basic elements that define the Bunker Hill project, from the design fundamentals to the affordable housing programming. Next slide. Leah, next slide.
Trying. Seems to be frozen.
I believe she's trying. I've seen people freeze on the screen. Here we go. Great.
Perfect. So before we begin today, we would like to thank the city staff who have worked diligently with us for the past 2 years to really bring the project to fruition as we see here today. I need to say this because the city really set a great example at the commencement of the project in the way that they worked with the community, and it inspired myself personally and Garrett and the other folks at Trumark to really work with the community. And in fact, a lot of that work and that conversation that, first of all, some of the community members have also offered to take care of my 1-year-old and 3-year-old whenever I go visit the site. So that's just been like a wonderful thing to be able to build that kind of camaraderie with the existing community members. But through that communication, we actually were able to evolve the project. For example, there was an addition of a dog-friendly park. There was removal of some parking spaces, in addition to even how we looked and thought about the trees. And so a lot of the conditions of approval that were placed upon the project came from that communication that was held with community members. So thank you to the community members also for putting up with Garrett and I. Next slide. Design fundamentals. Next slide, Leah, please. Thank you. So the project was assessed against the city's resilience and sustainability efforts, really set in motion with the city's adoption of the 2040 General Plan and the Climate Action Plan. Next slide. Thank you. From a land use perspective, the site plan has been programmed, as Leah had mentioned, to avoid 4.21 acres of riparian forest and 0.31 acres of intermittent streams, with the creation of 11.5 acres of open space surrounding the forest. Additionally, when we were looking at this, one of the main things that we also thought about was we were trying to imitate the hydrologic process of how water even flows through the site, to make sure that nothing from even the way that the stormwater was captured and treated even affected the intermittent stream that you see here. Next slide, please. From a seismic land use resilience, the project team made the difficult decision to eliminate Maitland Court. If you recall, that used to exist in the master development plan. And the reason for that was really for mitigation of geotechnical hazards. With the elimination of that, we got creative, talked to the community, and that made way for community benefit programming consisting of an open space area and that dog park that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Oh, next slide, please, Leah. From an infrastructure resilience perspective, the upgrades the project is making will not only increase fire flow within the fire master plan, which you see here, but will extend to the neighboring vicinity and the Zone 500 that you see in yellow. Oh, next slide, please. And now I'll turn it over to Garrett for the site plan evolution.
Thank you. Again, Garrett Hines, Vice President of Architecture at Trumark Homes. Again, we're thrilled to be here as your partner. The site plan and number of homes was given to us through your specific plan and builder selection process. The primary directive was to minimize grading and visual impacts. That's where we started. We worked diligently to minimize grading by creating stepped terraces and designing low-profile homes that step down with those terraces. However, the most important issue was to stabilize the hill and adjust Bunker Hill Boulevard to create a safe, walkable neighborhood. Next slide, please. The site's adjacency to Cal State East Bay, again, and their existing trail was a great opportunity to extend connectivity to adjacent existing trails and to create and expand an existing trail amenity, allowing the public, everyone, to climb the ridge for amazing bay views. Next slide, please. The new 16-foot trail, again, connects at both ends of the ridge line, featuring stairs at one end leading to seating areas, bike racks, picnic tables, and interpretive storyboards. We also diligently work to preserve as many trees as possible, especially along the ridge trail. Next slide, please. Due to grading requirements to stabilize the hill, we are forced to remove many trees. But new development comes with new tree plantings. We will be planting 1,057 new trees. 111 of them are new street trees, and the other 946 new trees will be planted in various areas on-site and off-site. For example, at the intersection shown here at Maitland and Central, we will create a large natural wooded grove and carve out a dog meadow. We will also be providing many new trees in your upcoming 50-acre La Vista Park. 2 tree palettes, as mentioned by Leah, were created with your city arborist to include California natives when we are adjacent to the preserved riparian corridors. Next slide, please. Go to Leah for me. One more. Let's talk about architecture. This computer-generated rendering shows our proposed 74 homes as viewed from Mission Boulevard. The challenge, again, was to minimize grading and visual impacts while still delivering livable, family-oriented housing. We are proposing 3 different home style configurations due to the sensitive site grading. Next slide, please. We need one home style that climbs up the hill, shown on the left. We need a home that climbs down the hill, shown on the right. And we have a few flat lots, which neither of these would work on. The uphill and downhill plans absorb 10 feet of grading on each house. If we didn't take up the grades in the house, you'd have big retaining walls below the homes and above the homes, which would be more visually distracting, in my opinion. Next slide, please. And again, the magic of this design is that the upper homes on the left will look over the lower homes on the right. Next slide. Here's a proposed view from New Bunker Hill Boulevard looking south, with the upper homes on the left looking over the lower homes on the right. The street section allows for guest parking and sidewalk on one side. The sidewalk leads to both ends of the Ridge Trail. Next slide, please. Here's another proposed view looking north on Bunker Hill Boulevard, with the upper homes on the right looking over the lower homes on the left. Next slide, please. At the top of Bunker Hill Boulevard, where Bunker Hill Court is, the open-ended cul-de-sac will allow beautiful, wonderful distant views. The lots on Bunker Hill Court are mostly flat, allowing traditional 2-story homes that also step down the street. And one more slide, Leah. The contemporary architecture was selected by design. It was on purpose because of its low profile massing and the ability to have large windows. Traditional homes have traditional windows. Contemporary homes have larger windows to take on these great views. Also, adding traditional roofs, gables and hips and things we're used to would also increase the massing and make larger roof areas and greater visual impacts, while also restricting solar orientations. The flat roofs allow us to have every home with solar orientations that maximize solar energy. Based on feedback from planning commissioners and our neighbors, we've agreed to work with staff moving forward to soften the architecture using various techniques such as adding build-outs and pop-out projections to increase shadow lines and have more ins and outs. We also would like to broaden the color and material palette, have more stone, more wood siding, less stucco, less flat surfaces, and also really utilize colored window frames. They don't have to be all white vinyl. We can have darker window frames. So we can really play and warm and have more earth tones and really warm up the architecture as we move forward. And this contemporary style has been very popular with buyers. We're building it in a lot of places, from Danville to Santa Rosa to Sunnyvale, all around the Bay. It's been very popular, and it is. It's a transition from traditional architecture to contemporary architecture, and it's a way of using materials to look backwards and honor the past, but also look forward with contemporary architecture, transitional architecture. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Pam. Thank you.
I'm 5'2", so I got to bring it down. Next slide, please, Leah. And one more. This slide is obviously about the affordable housing. One thing that I was going to chat about was that at the Planning Commission hearing, there was a lot of questions about how this program was going to be run. And Jennifer, you did a beautiful job about actually explaining the almost 18 months of negotiation to really make sure that the devils are in the details, and those details, believe me, are in there. And we're also working with a very experienced management party, which the city of Hayward is familiar with, that this is their bread and butter, and they're there to really make this process an equitable process for those houses to be rented if they should be, if the owners decide to rent them. So this is our affordable housing plan. That is all I have for today. My only question, Mayor and council members, is did you want, what I was gonna say about the connectivity is that the reason why we didn't put the sidewalk is because it would have required essentially over 10-foot walls along the edge, because a lot of the existing homes are actually encroaching onto the right-of-way, and that was something that we were very sensitive about. So when we were looking at upgrading the public right-of-way, and that was something we talked to Jennifer and Lee about, is we need to make sure that we're not looking at the boundary, but it was more, where are the existing constraints? Because we're not going to obviously remove someone's driveway, et cetera. And so the space for which we had along that road, because there's a lot of homes there, to actually upgrade the right-of-way was very limited. And so we were trying to do a balancing act. And I believe Jennifer and Leah, what we did instead was to put in the parking. And that's what we were trying to be sensitive of. Right now, because of the curvature, from an engineering perspective, you're slowed down, right? You have shallower lanes, which naturally, it makes people want to slow down. And so what we could do was add in the parking, and that was an actual ask from the community members. So it was a give and a take. I hope that answers that question.
Councilmember Arminio.
So instead of a sidewalk, there would be parking on that curb?
Correct. It was which one was the preferred, and so that's what we were able to provide, because we couldn't provide both.
And if you provide parking on that curb, then there's no space for a sidewalk. That's what, in essence, you're saying.
There's such limited right-of-way to do improvements, so you basically would be cutting into the hillside.
Yeah. Well, as one who is trying to wean us from car dependency, I would disagree and say that the sidewalk is more important for walkability than providing parking spaces. But I may be a minority. So, I mean, today is bicycle to work day, and that's what I did. So, thank you.
I mean, that's the way to decrease GHG emissions, right? Get people out of their cars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see. I don't think that we have any, well, we didn't have any more questions from council. So we are into the public hearing, and thank you, Mr. Hines and Ms. Salas, yeah. And so now we're going to go to open public comment on this item. And I know we have people both on Zoom and here in the chambers. So we're going to start with the people here in the chambers. And first up is Mary Ann Higgs. Hello.
It's nice to see you all in person.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to see and hear you, too.
Is that it? Okay,
Yes.
there we go. So nice to see you all in person. My name is Marianne Higgs. I live on Westview Way, which is adjacent to Parcel 5. I have been coming to meetings about the 238 corridor for about 30 years now. So, you know, I've been doing this for a while. But I'm very excited to come tonight to say that I support this project that is being proposed. While it is not my ideal, it does meet all of the requirements that we set forth a couple of years ago. It does address a lot of the requests from the community, but the real reason that I came to speak is to speak on behalf of TrueMark and how collaborative they have been with the community. They have gone through a lot of effort to have meetings with the community along the way, to check in on certain ideas that they've had. I don't think we could find a more collaborative partner for this development. When I think about this project, because I know there are a lot of people that are concerned about housing issues in the state of California and the fact that these are single-family homes, when I look at the collection of properties that are being put in Hayward along that 238 corridor, it's a beautiful mix of townhouses, condominiums, and these single-family homes. So there's something for everybody. And when I look at all of the different projects across the board comprehensively, I think that Hayward is offering people a lot of different housing options at many different price points and is meeting the needs of a lot of different communities. So when I look at this, I think it's a good thing for Hayward. I think it's a good thing for this particular parcel of land to take advantage of the views. I really appreciate the fact that TrueMark has listened to the community. Some of the specifics are the tree farm that Garrett just talked about. That helps us to maintain an environment for our wildlife because we like our deer, even though they eat our roses. The fact that they incorporated a request for a place where the community could gather and exercise their dogs is great. When they talked about the trail going along the ridge line, they made some adjustments to it to be able to keep mature trees there and maintain it. And they looked at it from the perspective of how does all of Hayward enjoy this? And they said, we're putting in some benches so people can enjoy the views. So overall, I think they're a great partner. And I would love to see you vote this project to go forward because I'm really tired of coming to meetings on this topic. Anyway, thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I know what you mean about loving the deer, but even if they do eat the roses, yes, so. But, next up is Debbie Frederick.
Can this overview work? Can this projector work? Thank you so much, and I am so grateful to be here in this position. My name's Debbie Frederick. I have lived in the middle of Bunker Hill Boulevard since 1989, and I have brass tack points that I want to comment on, and I will say them in the context of thank you to the city and thank you to TrueMark. Even if I raise what I call brass tacks, I respect and think TrueMark and the city can rise to the challenge. There is a multiple stated goal in the reports of a residential environment of sustained desirability. And I hope you all have read my written comments. I will emphasize some of them. Even though the architecture, Garrett made a strong point of the architecture, but I'm sorry, it is still advanced from warehouses to industrial offices. And I actually trust that I really mean no offense. I trust their expertise to have something attractive. I'm sorry, there's so many points that are important. The trees. I need to point out to the City Council in attachment 3 on Exhibit 1A, page 1A4, I think there's a misunderstanding under landscape item 26 because you've got the wrong tree on the wrong lot for the wrong reason that I'm advocating for. It is the tree that you can, I can't tell if that's upside down. Is it? I think it's. That tree is to the north of me on lot 14. It is only 13 feet from a lot that only Kelly might remember. I own a dirt lot that is part of my property, and I've actually offered it to the HOA, and they said no thank you. I wanted 5 feet more on each side because my original property was squeezed between 2 farm homes. I think that lot screams out to be a little parklet for the HOA. There ought to be stairs from the dog park up to Bunker Hill Court. I'm sorry, there's so many brass tacks, and I live in the middle of it, and I am thankful. I respect the housing is needed. So on the traffic, Mark and the engineers, it is getting missed, and I don't think it's intentional from the engineering because they still have an arrow allowing downhill traffic from the campus to make a left turn into Bunker Hill Boulevard. Stephen Chang didn't verbalize it, but the white arrows on the map, and Leah verified it's unsafe. They will be making a left turn across Carlos B. Boulevard into Bunker Hill from the campus or the higher up to shortcut through our neighborhood down Westview when Mission Boulevard really gets blocked up from harder north to Carlos B. I thank you for, I thank you, and I'm sure this will be made workable.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and your, let's see, so, okay. Next is Thomas Burt.
Hi, everybody. This is really about thank you. No, we didn't get everything we wanted. I stood here 2 years ago saying minimum density. We like the 32 houses that were originally there, or 38. But really, between Jennifer and the team and Garrett and Pam and others, thank God, I think you've got a good crew. Everybody's interacted with us, with TLC, even to the point I think Garrett actually adjusted a house to try to address some concerns we had about our views. We live right at the corner of Bunker Hill and Bunker Hill Court. So I really just want to say thank you. My neighbor's already saying other things I would say. I really hope that this gets approved. We were a bit surprised by the building commission that it was so close, but there were reasons for that. We understand. So really, just a thumbs up. It's getting late. That's really what I have to say. So we'll see you on the streets of Hayward, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And Bernadette Burt.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff, and our Hayward neighbors. And my name is Bernadette Burt, and the resident of Parcel 5 in Hayward. And my family has been living here in the area for 11 years. And during these times in our residence, we have many stories to tell you, but many of them are scary ones. In terms of our good protection and security of the area. To be on the positive side, we like to say thank you to the Hayward Police Department, who have for many times, especially in night times, to answer to our calls for assistance for our safekeeping and security concern in the area. And thank you for the Hayward police officers too. And we are so glad to learn that Parcel 5 is now in the final stage of approval of development. And I really, and my family, encourage the council to endorse and approve this project. And on this, we are grateful to the city members, in particular Jennifer Ott and Nia Smith, who gave us a lot of their time to explain to us, to our answers, and work with us to make this project feasible. And as well as they provide very transparent information and keeping us well informed of the development process. Thank you so much. And lastly is the developer, TrueMark. And in the past 2 years, we have seen and met with several staff of TrueMark. And they keep us close contacts with us on the Partial 5 development and keep us informed of the activities in the neighborhood and explaining in details to us on their progress. And so far, they have built us the confidence that they are the right developers. And our friends, they're becoming friends with us. And their professionalism in completing the Partial 5 development successfully. And soon, with their work with us, we can see a beautiful skylight in addition to the Hayward skylight. And so here, my family and I would urge and hope the council members and the mayor will approve the Parcel 5 development to go forward. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, also here in the chamber is Bruce King.
Good evening, council and staff and TrueMark and fellow citizens. I'm with Friends of San Lorenzo Creek. I just wanted to say Leah Smith's been doing a great job in the last couple of weeks trying to resolve and answer questions presented by Friends of San Lorenzo Creek. It seems like the city and the project has gone out of their ways to say, we're not going to do anything underneath the canopy of the riparian corridor. I understand why. There are legal consequences when you start messing with creeks. But, the city of Hayward owns the parcel right now and is responsible and should be good stewards for the creeks, regardless of what the project is doing. So I'm going to give you some examples here. Here is the trash that's currently extensively in the creeks. Big, large debris, tires, barrels, pallets, all kinds of stuff. Maybe this stuff should have been taken out of the creek 2 years ago when the city acquired the parcel. But the city has agreed. The project will remove this as part of the construction, and the HOA will be responsible in the future. So thank you. Also, here is the culvert that goes under Harder Road. It was filled with debris and sediment. And the city, just in the last week or two, went out and removed all that debris from the culvert. It wasn't being maintained. That's a problem. All this trash and things is a violation of the Clean Water Act because we're depositing things that don't belong into the waters of the United States. Here's an example of an outfall from one of the water treatment systems. That goes to the edge of the riparian canopy and stops. And according to the designers, that will the water will disperse and move down the bank of the creek. If that is the right design, the potential problem there is that whole hillside has ivy growing on it, and we're going to be watering the invasive ivy that doesn't belong there. It's because it's non-native, not native. Here we've got on the North Creek pipes, drain pipes that are in disrepair and broken, and we don't have any answer as to whether or not these are going to be the pipes that are discharging the water from the water treatment systems. Here we have an old roadway on the North Creek. That's washed out. It's depositing sediments into the creek. That's a violation of the Clean Water Act. Okay, and then
Mr. King, I'm sorry, but your time is up. I would ask you to continue to work with the city to get some of these things taken care of. And, it's not the only place in the city where there are problems. And I know our maintenance crews have been out really, trying to correct these things. So hopefully if you can share those off, online with us and I'm seeing is nodding her head, so thank you.
We're happy to work with Bruce on some of the debris and other things that are there. Obviously, the city, we maintain that property. We've doing our best, but we can do better, and so we'll take a look and see what we can do.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you for caring about the creeks too. I do think we appreciate that. So now we're going to move to Zoom, and we have our par. What's that? We have, is it Rebecca Parr? Can we get her? Are we getting her on?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. So I'm speaking as myself, as a personal citizen, a resident of Hayward, and not as any organization. First of all, the reference to those architecture being contemporary, no, they're not. It's brutalism, and it's ugly as bohunk, and everybody knows that. The flat roofs are not suitable during with climate change, and that is going to be a complete problem with the heavy rains. But my main thing that I called about, and I have a lot of questions like the taking out of the trees, but I agree with Councilman Salinas that you're not going to have people turning right onto Campus Drive, onto Hayward Boulevard, and then making a U-turn, and that's completely idiotic. However, the road should be pushed out to Harder, not to Hayward Boulevard, because Harder is a 4-lane thoroughfare. And what happens is that Hayward Boulevard and Campus Drive, they go down to a residential neighborhood where I live, a flatlands, and we continue to get the bulk of these poorly planned developments in the hills. And it's a residential 2-lane road, and traffic is already backed up. You have that pitiful joke of a roundabout at Joyce, and now you want to put more traffic down there rather than on Harder, which again was designed as a thoroughfare. And I feel it's an insult to people who live in the flatlands. And no, we were not consulted. We weren't talked about during any of this. And so I'm not opposed to developing the area, but also these 2- and 3-story houses, that's not continuing the rural area culture. So I think this really needs to be rethought a lot before it's approved.
All right, thank you for your comments. And then we have Steve Dunbar.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes.
Marvelous. Good evening, Council. This is Stephen Dunbar with Bike East Bay. Long time no see, hope you're well. I was looped in by Mr. King on this one to provide some assistance on the bike ped side, and that's part of my Bike East Bay responsibility, so I'm gonna keep it focused on that. Dave's unfortunately double booked with another meeting at the moment. Some issues are things you've already questioned this evening. Respectfully, in my opinion, of course, basic infrastructure of sidewalks is more important than parking, even in hilly locations. Even with the additional commentary by staff this evening and understanding the nexus and fairness for this development specifically, Bike East Bay has a few questions regarding traffic calming, access to the bike trail, crosswalks, potential stair rails for bike access to the bike racks and picnic tables, and the vision for the further continuation of the Hayward Hills Trail. I've seen the layout provided to the Planning Commission, but we have a few more things we'd like to make sure we're clear on. I believe most of these are rather technical or vision-based, and that we can work them out. I'll send an email with some thoughts to the clerk shortly, and hopefully staff can get those addressed during the final maps and engineering approval phase. I also wanted to note for Councilmember Salinas and staff that AB 43 passed last year, which changes the law regarding the setting of speed limits in the state of California in certain circumstances. And we encourage you to reach out to other cities that are already looking into utilizing that flexibility where it is appropriate. We stand ready to assist the city to maximize safe biking, walking, and public transit around Cal State East Bay. And yes, I know it's still Cal State Hayward for some of you. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you so much. And with that, I'm not seeing any other hands up either among attendees on Zoom or here in the chambers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, we'll work on this. We'll work on relearning how to be here in the chambers. But I'm going to go to Councilmember Zermeño, who has it. You did have your hand up, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Go ahead.
But I have no questions.
Oh, you have no questions?
No.
Okay.
Are we finished with the public?
I think, I mean, you can always ask a question, but we have had the questions from council, we have had the public hearing, and now we are ready for council comments and hopefully a motion and a vote.
So I have four short comments and then a motion. First, to Mr. Bruce King, thank you very much for pointing out all that trash, which probably has been there for quite a few number of years. So if anybody's really liable for that is Caltrans. So if the city cleans it up, then we need to make sure that we send the bill to Caltrans because, yeah, they've been there. So somehow or other it needs to be fixed. But, and for one who collects garbage, believe me, they've been there for a while. The project, in my mind, has a lot more positives, quite a lot more positives than negatives. I like, one of them is the fact that they work with the community, with staff, and that's important. The three negatives that I see about it are too many trees are killed. In my mind, that's unnecessary. And we're only planning 1,000 to replace those, so that's a no-no in my book. There's no pedestrian connectivity between the lower part and the upper part. And we're preferring to put parking there, so that's another negative. And there's no traffic light at Carlos B. In my mind, there should be a traffic light there because in my mind, it will slow down traffic of people going down the hill because that's always a problem. They're going down 60, 70 miles per hour sometimes. I don't because I follow the rules, but I'm an exception. And I'm sure some of you are too. In my mind, eventually there's also going to be a trail that ends at that intersection. How are we going to get pedestrians across Carlos B safely if there's no traffic light? So those are the three negatives. But even though they are negatives, the rest of the project is a positive. The architecture, I think it's fine. There's no reason why other cities can't have unique looking houses, and we will have a unique looking project. So with that, can I first ask our staff, can we work about more trees? Can we work about pedestrian connectivity, and can we work with a possible traffic light with the traffic division?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start and then I'll ask some of the technical staff to jump in, but the reason there can't be a traffic light there is because the proximity to other traffic lights, there's kind of how close you can be, and so we can't do that, but I will say that I'm happy to work with the developer and our technical team on looking carefully at the safety improvements around there, especially pedestrian connections. Also thinking and talking, we're happy to meet and talk with Bike East Bay, and talk about that as part of the improvement plan design. Because the next step is to get into the really detailed engineering and design, and so we're happy to have those conversations and see what we can do. And we'll pull in our public works team and our development services team and the applicant, and we'll talk through some of those issues. But I do want to set that traffic light there won't make sense because of the proximity. There will be one at parcel group 6, and that would be how people would cross safely to connect to the Hayward Foothill Trail. But we'll look at ways around that, where that connection is on Carlos B, how we can make that safer.
And that's the lot 6 is a little further south on the hill.
It's down the hill.
Right, just a little further south.
On the other side of Carlos B.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
where the traffic light
Very good.
would be.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get more trees and let's make sure that people can walk through it. And with that, I move on the item with all the possibilities. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so basically the staff recommendation with some additional requests for additional consultation has been moved by and work on some areas has been moved by Council Members Zermano and seconded by Council Member Salinas. Council Member Salinas?
Thank you. I had to take my mask off for this because, as I think Mary Ann said, it's been 30 years. 30 years.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yes, so I had to take my mask off because, like Mary Ann said, it's been 30 years. And for some, it's been longer than 30 years. And I know, Debbie, I know you've been up there a long time. And, this has been a 2-year process. But what people forget is that, this freeway plan that was supposed to happen that didn't, was, I'm thinking, already 45 years, almost 50 years, if not more than 50 years. So I think what this 2-year process took us, and by the way, this 2-year process was something that was done, and I really want to thank, TrueMark, but also the neighborhood. You have been engaged every step of the way. From the very beginning through the process. There was a lot of wrangling. There was a lot of, email communication. There was a lot of tempers. There was a lot of hallelujahs and amens. But I think just from what I am hearing today, I mean, I heard words that thank you. I've heard Mr. Burt, I think, said TLC. I heard partnership. I've heard collaboration, and those are words and comments that sitting up here for some time when we approve projects. I wish we heard more of that. In many cases, but I think this process, the time it took, and I know we also did this in a pandemic, right? And so I think the process in this case, I think, worked for us, and it worked for the neighborhood. I have to, I have to agree with Ms. Parr, who just called in about the traffic. And I know staff knows this. Traffic down Hayward Boulevard, crossing Mission and into Orchard, it's horrendous. That little roundabout that's there, it has to be rethought. I don't know that neighbor who lives just on the right side of that roundabout, but it seems like every other month I drive through there. There's a big hole in that big wall, that a car has driven through it. And so that something has to get done with, calming traffic there and reducing speed. But Ms. Parr is not off base on what her comments are. And, also with, my concern about traffic on that Hayward Boulevard. I understand what you say about the lights. I understand about the other elements that will be included. I understand that we will be working with the developer to make sure we have something there. I am just, and you know, that white arrow, I saw the arrow, Debbie. You know, we have to do something on that pathway in that area, because I'll tell you, I can just see it. There's cars will be illegally turning and coming from both ways, and so we're going to have to do something there. And so I don't know what it is right now, but I'm sure staff will come along and do that. I don't know what AB 43 is. I haven't read it. But I think Mr. Dunbar is correct. I think we should, I don't know if that gives us more latitude or flexibility to change the speed limit, but in the event, something like that happens, it'd be something that I like to explore. But, and with, Mr. King, I appreciate all your emails. I know you're very diligent with us. We will get to those areas. Those areas have been dirty a long time, and that's not the only creek. A Street, right? I mean, we can start naming the creeks, we need to be, the debris in those creeks. Not only have they been there a very long time, but there's other activities going on in those creeks that it's very difficult to stay on top of and maintain. We will get there. We do clean them when we can, but in some cases, like that the A Street Creek between was it 3rd Street or 4th Street up there, to clean a creek, it really took a multi-agency effort to do that. So it's not a matter of taking a bulldozer down there or a backhoe and lifting all that stuff up. It's a much more involved process, which I know you're very familiar with and you know of. So stay on us, keep emailing us, and I'm sure we'll get to it. I am pleased to see that this has finally come to where we are at today. I wanted to, the architectural designs, looking at the renderings, the streets. I understand that, I get it that the streets are going to be traffic calming in design. And I think it's just in a very big way going to enhance that parcel right underneath Cal State. I'm also very pleased to see that there's going to be, 18 affordable ADUs put in there. I know the Planning Commission had some concerns about that, but I'm sure by the time those ADUs become online, we'll have a lot of that stuff ironed out. Anyways, with all that said, I will be supporting this. I will be voting for this, and I wanted to thank everybody. It's glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our Zoom council member attendees for a while. Council member Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Acting Principal Planner Schmidt. So I know this has been a long process, and I want to thank you for having such a thorough presentation, as this was a really complicated project, and it touched on everything that was of concern for a lot of people who were reviewing this project. So thank you. I also want to thank the residents. I remember this project, I believe it came to Planning Commission when I was on commission, and it's definitely a change of tune. I definitely want to acknowledge Councilmember Salinas' comment on hearing a lot of positive feedback from the community regarding this project. I did not necessarily expect that when I saw this coming back on the agenda. So that means that TrueMark really did a lot of work to get to this point. So I just want to acknowledge the developer for doing that as well. I do agree with a lot of the comments that Ms. Parr raised regarding the brutalism architecture and the traffic that is going to come from this project. And so in response to that, I do understand that there might be some more work to do. I do want to hear from the developer regarding the roof lines. I do see this as a more popular design throughout the Bay Area, and just want to hear if you can respond to some of her comments regarding the architecture And I do understand the solar aspect of it, but what about the rain and other things that she mentioned?
Yeah, hi, Garrett Hines again. We've been doing flat roofs in many places, especially in Southern California. And yes, there's a little less rain, but we don't have a problem with water intrusion. We don't have a problem. We can collect it and get it into barrels, or we can collect it better than, or equally as good to a typical composite roof. And the new technology, TPO, really slick. And on the uphill homes, we're looking at roof decks. So to really add outdoor living, since it's living on the side of a hill, we really tried hard to have decks on both living levels. And on the uphill homes, we have front decks and now the roof decks. So we really think, and to do a roof deck, it's a flat roof. And so in these TPOs, we've done them in Northern California, we've done them in Southern California, and they're very popular and very fun. And when you don't have a full yard, that's a good place to have outdoor living. So we hope you embrace the flat roofs. They are not a negative functionally, and so we really like them, so I would disagree.
Okay. Well, thank you for those comments. And I believe Councilmember Wahab mentioned wanting more roof decks in projects and other projects that we've seen. So I don't know, she may want to comment on what she sees here tonight. But I do want to acknowledge that that is an amenity for a lot of folks. So I'm interested to see how it turns out. And I'm glad that you did look at your design and at least try to warm it up. I could tell the difference between the previous iteration than what I've seen tonight. So I continue to kind of look at the neighborhood and try to take note of what you see within the neighborhood, not just make it brown, make it wood, look at the rest of the neighborhood to kind of complement it, because that is a big deal for a lot of folks in all over Hayward. We're seeing a lot of architecture that's not matching our neighborhoods, and it's actually not really helpful for that community when they're trying to have a more cohesive community. So I continue to urge you to look at that. I do agree with a lot of the comments regarding traffic. I think we should look at traffic safety now before a lot of the residents move in. We are seeing a lot of speeding, particularly in that area. So whatever we can do now, I agree with the previous comments regarding AB 43. I'm not familiar with that law either. So I always appreciate comments from Bike East Bay for, keeping us up to date, making sure that we're, are understanding what the new laws are. Our transportation department may know what that is, but I would love to see an email about an update on the review of that law and how it applies to this project and possibly future projects and other areas. So yes, I would be very interested to see what happens there. And I agree with Councilmember Zumaya regarding the trees. There are trees that do, unfortunately, are not producing or need assistance, or if we could look at some of the trees, not just tear them down, maybe there's something we can do to retain the trees. But yes, I'm happy to see that at least the count is going to match what was there existing. So I am curious to see if there was anyone who can address, I believe her name was Ms. Debbie Frederick, and her comments regarding the trees, because I think there was a concern. I know there was a little bit of a comment back to her, but just she had a particular concern about a tree.
Councilmember Andrews, do you want the developer to talk about some of their conversations with Debbie about the trees? Or
That'd be great.
Okay. I think, Pam, if you could talk about some of the arborist reports and analysis and some of the conversations maybe you've had with Debbie about the trees.
There it is.
I will, I think read off or stop the red light.
You're right. But
that's the engineer in
not
me.
here.
So there's been a lot of discussion about the trees. One thing that I don't think we did a very good job about explaining is that when Michelle Koo, who the council members and the mayor know, is the goal was to not keep trees that had a low suitability for preservation, The reason being is that really Michelle and the city staff wanted to make sure that the trees that are going to stay as part of the development and or planted, that they're going to be preserved. And that's important. That's actually one of the conditions of approval. Marianne did a beautiful job about explaining about really, we looked into every detail of, every tree that had to be removed in detail. So in fact, the reason why you see the meandering of the trail itself is because we literally had it swish-swashing around trees that were like, gosh, that is a beautiful tree, how can we keep it? Even the positioning of some of the houses, which it actually ended up working out well because of the undulation of the houses, right, to give that architectural variety, because you don't want everything to just look like cookie cutters. That was also about trees and how can we limit the grading. So that's all I can say about the trees. And when Garrett and I were discussing with Michelle about where else can we plant the trees, then the city provided this awesome possibility about La Vista Park, did I say that right? And really about planting hundreds of trees there. And so we're really proud that we can actually provide some trees at that park. But I understand the concerns. I've been talking to Debbie about the London plane and the eucalyptus. And so that is a conversation that we're going to be having with Michelle Koo about re-looking at that one London plane tree, right, Debbie, on lot 14. I've seen many photos of this tree, just to see really with an arborist of what is a timeline that tree can stay. And if we really feel like it can stay, then that is the conversation that as long as Michelle gives us the okay, and it doesn't, pose any health, that's the main thing, right? If she's gonna say, it's not very healthy, then we are more than happy to work with the neighbors to try to keep some of those trees they feel particularly strong about. Okay?
All right, thank you. And then just two more comments, Mayor. I just want to also thank Marianne Higgs. I remember going on that tour, and she was there waiting for us at the bus to tell us everything about the neighborhood. And I also met with her a while back about the project. And so she was a huge advocate for that community. So I just wanted to acknowledge her efforts. And then the last thing is that I know there's some concerns about the type of affordable housing, that it's affordable housing by design, it's 18 ADUs. I do feel like this is not the perfect project to get to affordable housing. I wish I could see more. I wish it could be inclusionary housing, but this was a lot more affordable housing type opportunity than it was previously. And I do think there was a comment by a planner that said you're not going to get $2 million, worth of ADUs. In other projects, and this is a way for us to do that. And so I definitely agree with that comment, and I hope that we can in the future continue to push for inclusionary housing as part of our projects. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I too thank Ms. Higgs for the tour and for really acquainting us with the neighborhood. I met with her. I imagine a lot of us met with her and some of her neighbors, and we really appreciated that look, because otherwise we haven't spent a lot of time up there, given the current roadway, and the situation is a little scary, actually. But anyway, we will go next to Councilmember Wahab, who is on Zoom here, and then back to the chambers.
If we can go back to the slide presentation, I want to cover the roofs, and then also the Friends of the San Lorenzo Creek slide. So just the roofs first. Now, quick questions on the roofs. Are individuals able to go out and engage on the roof? Let's say a barbecue pit or something like that.
We are looking at having access to that upper roof on just on the uphill, not that home, but that one right there on that upper level.
So let's say a family who purchases this type of home would be able to put up a barbecue set, some lounge chairs, whatever the case is, and be able to basically stand on the roof and do what you would normally do in your backyard.
Yes.
Okay. And are there going to be safeguards or some type of railing or?
Absolutely. Per California Building Code, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to make sure that. I also want to thank Councilmember Andrews for even remembering that I said this, because I actually think that this is actually a pretty cool model, and I've seen it in other countries that I was really surprised how much it's utilized. So I think that this is a positive. I am concerned a little bit about the noise if people are, partaking in how their neighbors are going to be affected without trees to kind of diminish the sound. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. And then I do want to highlight that I do think that we need to kind of take a look at the traffic and just the safety precautions there, because pretty much anybody up through the hills will complain about the fact that the slope makes it a problem. People are speeding when it rains. People lose control of their vehicle if they're braking suddenly. There are deer in the area. Hopefully they'll remain in the area. So not only signage on the streets, and this is more just for staff to be aware of as we are trying to do our best. And I think the motion had some language of, it was a little vague, but to continue to work on some of this. But I think safety is very important, especially for neighbors up and down that hill on those main thoroughfares, if you will. So I do want to highlight that. And then the Friends of San Lorenzo Creek, I'd like to kind of go to their slides. Okay. So when we received this email, and we received a number of them, and I was reading through them, and were you able to share the feedback prior to this presentation with them? Or I just want to understand the communication between staff and the Friends of San Lorenzo Creek.
I'll start, and then I'd invite Scott Wickstrom or other engineers to join. The initial letter that staff received from Bruce King came, I think it was the Friday after or the week after the Planning Commission meeting. That was the first piece of correspondence, and it was a letter, and staff responded to all the points in the letter, including the riparian, the sections and descriptions. Bruce King sent 2 or 3 follow-up emails asking for additional information. Staff responded to those emails directly. And then Bruce sent a follow-up letter, I think it was April 11th. And staff took the lead on responding, but it's a team effort. I don't respond to these things on my own. So I reached out to our engineering staff. I reached out to the applicants, staff, engineering staff, and the environmental consultants, WRA, to prepare responses. So I gave Bruce a partial response and told him I would be able to respond to the rest of his comments and questions later. And then the follow-up email was sent to him last Friday. So it was the day that the staff report was released. So that's why the staff report contains a summary of some of his comments, but not all of his comments. So I sent him a follow-up email, to which he replied on Monday and sent the email that he CC'd the entire council. So there was all of this information was contained in all the various pieces of correspondence, but it was coming in piecemeal and sometimes one email or responses to letters. So all of this information was contained, but not in this format where each point was pulled out and responded to individually.
Okay, and the one I'm more concerned with is the April 17th one, and I know that's roughly about 2 days ago. And there's probably not enough time to necessarily respond as quickly as we'd sometimes like. But, I wasn't 100% sure if the Friends of San Lorenzo Creek have any additional comments today after this presentation, besides some of the public comments that were made, a couple of minutes ago, if you will. is Bruce around in the chamber just to kind of just say if there was?
Mr. King?
Maybe you could clarify what you're asking there.
Yeah, no.
So there was an email that you sent roughly about 2 days ago. I just want to make sure that after this presentation that you saw this evening, besides the comments that you made here with your photos, if you will, was there any other significant concern that was not addressed in your opinion?
No.
Okay,
Just what I presented tonight.
Okay. And so I really do appreciate staff kind of going back and forth. And one of the things I do want to highlight is that staff has been working with all communities throughout the city as much as possible to kind of address some of their concerns. We can't have every project perfect. So I do just really commend staff's constant feedback, if you will. What do you consider with some of the comments that were made with Bruce's photos? Is there a potential that we can do that? I think that for me, the environmental impacts of just, keeping things out of the creek and making sure that, regardless of how little the impact is based on expert advice versus what we as just residents feel. Is there anything that you would suggest that we could do?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. There was a contract, in fact, on the council agenda tonight with maintenance services that oversees a maintenance contract for all the 238 properties. So I have already written down, we've actually done a pretty extensive cleanup of that area. There was some unhoused individuals who were living there that were, and so we've done and spent funds already there. And so we're happy to take a look and see what other debris we can do. It is, we do that and then there's more, but we will continue to work on that and address that. So it's on my list and I will be talking to maintenance services tomorrow about trying to clean up some of that debris.
Okay, and then in regards to our safety, in regards to the traffic and some of the comments that were made there?
Yeah, in fact, I've been corresponding some with the Public Works Director. We'll be meeting and talking internally and with TrueMark, and we have both funds for traffic calming and pedestrian improvements that are part of the conditions of approval. And so we'll be meeting and kind of talking about how we can make that as safe as it can be. And so we'll be working on that, assuming this moves forward, we'll be working on that right away and working with the developer to address those issues.
With clear signage and some safeguards and railings and potentially anything else that is needed to just prioritize safety as well, correct?
Yes. And I can't tell you what exactly, I don't want to determine exactly what those are going to be.
No worries,
we
no
need
worries.
to look at a lot of it, but yes, we'll look at all the options that are out there and see what we could do.
Okay. And I do just want to highlight that one of the things that, we have residents in this area that always highlight this and kind of the direction that, we're trying to move as far as environmentally friendly. But just making sure that the area is walkable for all people. I know that's difficult in kind of that southern piece of land, if you will, but as much as possible, if we are able to make it as walkable as possible, that is a priority, at least for me. And I just want to highlight that on future projects as well. Other than that, again, I commend you guys. I commend the developers for trying to work with the neighbors and so forth. My final question is, what is the benefit of the affordable housing coming to the city? If you can just go back to that slide one more time, and I just want to highlight this as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in and we can look at the slide. And so the benefit is both, and this was very clear from the council direction as part of the master development plan, and the request for proposal was to have both an on-site presence of affordable housing as well as fee revenue that could be used to help leverage and support affordable housing in other locations in the city. So that's what this does. It's $2 million. So in addition to the $3.9 million in excess land value, there'll be a $2 million contribution to the city's affordable trust fund, housing trust fund, plus 18 accessory dwelling units that will have regulatory restrictions on those properties saying, if you rent this, you'll have to make that affordable to a very low income individual or household, and then quite a few requirements, kind of the stick again, that say, hey, we are going to make sure you comply with this, and then also require the HOA to have a management agent that will actually encourage and incentivize homeowners to use their services to be able to rent those to very low-income households. So it's a combination of an on-site presence of deed-restricted affordable housing and $2 million in fee revenue, plus $3.9 million that the council has discretion to allocate however it wants, which could also be towards affordable housing if that's the direction of the council.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate this kind of compromise and also just the negotiation of this. Obviously, the in lieu fees really helps us create more affordable housing, but then also the ADUs. I do think that ADUs should be restricted to affordability. Some people would disagree, but if we can also get the management folks there, potentially even partner with Cal State East Bay, since it is so close, and possibly even provide some students with some housing options. So even teachers, if need be. So just some suggestions, some relationship building introductions if need be. But again, I really do appreciate that. I think that this is different than what we see out there in other cities. And I'm glad that Hayward is starting to really try to make the most of each development. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you. And now back to the chambers and Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you. I really want to applaud what a thoughtful development this is. There's so much that is great about this. I mean, from things like having the sureties within the DDA, that the infrastructure gets built, that the verticals get built. No offense to TrueMark, but we've had some bad experiences. And so really thinking that through, I really am impressed. And of course, as the neighbors said very eloquently earlier about the partnership with the neighborhood, and knowing that that's not done yet, that there's still work to be done, and that there is strong commitment to doing that. And the engagement from city staff with the neighborhood as well. This is how I'd love to see development happening in our community. And so I really want to appreciate the neighbors who've been dedicated and spoke up and were partners, the developer as well, and our city staff. Great job. A few thoughts. One is, as you continue to look at things, consider maybe a painted staircase, or part of that being a painted staircase. I've seen some really interesting designs about that, and I know nothing about making that happen. And so if there's a reason painted staircase, yeah, there's some really, taking a page out of Councilmember Andrews' book about public art, and there's some really interesting designs out there. So just ask that you take a look at it. The other thing you mentioned, some signs, some informational signs and placards up there, and ask that one of them be a land acknowledgement, and perhaps work with the Muwekma tribe about what that should say. If they want it. If they don't, that's okay, but just to ask them. And then, in terms of Councilmember Zamenio, I get that the neighborhood requested the parking, but I wonder if there's a way to at least sort of smooth that pathway, because I think people are going to walk it anyway. And so the question is there a way to sort of make that transition, give enough room? I understand it can't be a 10-foot sidewalk, but can that transition be appropriate so that people can do that connectivity? I appreciate the continued work with Bike East Bay. And then, I remember standing on Mission Boulevard with Jennifer, who had been with the city a minute and a half at that point, and saying, God, we have got to have, this cannot be just a market rate complex. How do we get there? She said the words ADUs, and here we are today. And yeah, it's entirely possible that nobody rents their space. But to build it by design, as was said earlier, the potential to have affordable units at a very low income level right there is terrific. And I agree with Councilmember Wahab about the connectivity to Cal State. There are the Pioneers for Hope program already exists on campus. And so having the HOA work with them in terms of placement and even supports if students need that. That's not something the HOA needs to provide, but that program already exists. Similarly, I think the new residents here should become members of Friends of San Lorenzo Creek and become part of the team who owns and embraces this creek and really understands the expertise that, that the Friends can bring. And continues the improvements. I agree that there's some things we can do now, but some things that are going to have to be long-term. And so there's going to need to be ongoing partnership with that. One last comment and then just a clarification. So in terms of the fees, you know, certainly for the in lieu fees that do get paid, I'd love to see a priority for those for ownership projects. And, but I'm not particularly interested in the fees being dedicated to affordable housing. Obviously, I want to see affordable housing. I want to see affordable ownership housing. But we've already spent a number of the 238 fees on sort of addressing housing issues. And I think having a conversation, I think the mayor brought this up earlier, about having kind of a reckoning about what is, what have we spent, what have we earned on 238, what have we spent? I mean, this property specifically had a lot of expenses. And so then we can, and to have that come to budget and finance, and then we can talk through what, you know, where do we go from here? And also making sure, because we have a one-time money policy that we've sort of acknowledged but haven't been able to do because we had these other urgent needs like the navigation center, et cetera. So having the opportunity to really look back at our policy if we do have money available and really apply that would be great. My one clarification to the maker and the seconder is there are a couple tiny grammatical corrections that were sent to us earlier, and so I just wanted to make sure that your motion included those. Okay, thank you, and I'm happy to support.
So are those corrections, wherever they are, available? And does the maker of the motion and the seconder agree with them?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting yeses from there. Okay, so well, thank you. I don't want to belabor this longer, but it's my turn to say what I think. And I just want to echo the thoughts of all my fellow council members about I'm going to start with the community because that's really where it starts. And this was a community. And then after all of the, you know, the properties that had to be, the houses that had to be taken down and the people who had to move out, we had some left, you know, quite a few really, but 4 houses actually in this project area, and, you know, and then others nearby that really contributed a lot to this project. It is a area of the city I have been hearing about ever since I moved here in the mid-1980s. So and it's a beautiful, precious area, and I hope that, you know, we need housing, we need it to develop. The state is making us, you know, develop housing. It's not, I mean, and we want to here in Hayward, but, you know, it's a time when you know, we are seeing precious open space go, but that has been the history of California ever and everywhere, you know. So I want to thank really True Mark for, you know, and it was really nice to hear it. We don't often hear that quite so sincerely, even for people who aren't not entirely happy with the end result, but still appreciated your working with them and a lot of the, you know, the changes that you did make or the features you added. So thank you. Thank you to our staff. That was, you know, a really exhaustive report. And, you know, you have worked diligently throughout this whole process to, you know, to make it, to listen to the community, to work with the developer and to get us where we are. And, you know, finally, I think I do need to thank the people who stopped the Foothill Freeway because otherwise, I mean, whatever we think about this project, I think we'd all much rather see people, those homes and people living up there than a freeway coming through. And so there is one thing I would like to ask if there is one slide, and I believe it was one of yours, about the view from Mission Boulevard. Because I had always, being a longtime Flatlander, And even though I've moved a little bit up the hill, I still live below where this property is. But is there a way to find that slide? I just wondered where that was taken from. Do you happen to know? Or where it's supposedly, obviously it's not a photo, it's a, because I want to remember this slide and come, and when the project is built, I want to come back and say, does it look like that?
I'm pretty sure that's Mission and Central. I think on slide 11, Leah, it would show the restaurant down below. Okay, maybe 16. No, sorry.
Yeah, that looks like it. That's it. That is it. So that's.
It's right on Mission, and then I'm not sure what. Is that Central or?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right, well, we'll see it, and then we can look at it after it's all built. I wanted to say something about the on the architecture question. I will say they did look a bit stark, and it's not what we're used to seeing. But on the other hand, I really appreciated your your response to that, and even before that, I don't usually object to architecture because I think architecture, it's a personal thing. It's like the art in your house, people are going to have different tastes in that, and that we all have to, I don't know, I think sometimes things grow on you or you appreciate, and then new styles come along. And I appreciated what you said. I think we need to put money these days into making the houses greener, more sustainable, responding to our climate problems. I'm not sure we should be putting, the frou-frou and the making it look pretty. Houses change over time, buildings change over time. People will make these houses their own. They will add things. I do, though, really hope that you will look again at some of I think the materials, the flat surfaces could be improved with, better textures. That is a way you could soften all of that and make it look less like the office park or whatever. But I did appreciate your comments on that and how that actually enhances certain other things like we do. We certainly want those houses to have solar energy. And then on the traffic, well, this development is just going to add to the complaints and the problems that we already know exist on that road. And that bill, AB 43, you can set the speed limit as low as you want, but people, we could do that, but people will ignore it just the way they ignore the speed limits that we already have on that road. Or maybe not even in some cases ignore, because I will say that it is very difficult. You do have to really put on your brake to go down that hill at the prescribed speed limit. It is a steep hill. I'm talking probably higher above the hill than this development is, but people will ignore it. AB 43 is not necessarily the answer, although I do know other communities are lowering their speed limits, but I will tell you people will not pay attention to them. Speed cameras are what we need. There are bills in the legislature. There is a bill in the legislature right now about that, but it's only to allow certain communities, which Hayward is not among, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose. We're lobbying the legislature to ask that more communities like Hayward be included, but just to do a pilot program. It is not legal for us to use speed cameras in the state of California. So the first thing that needs to be done is to get that changed, and then we need to start installing them and really tell people they need to stick to slowing down. Let's see, the affordable housing. This is one of 10 parcel groups, has been said, and there are some parcel groups that will have 100% affordable housing. Overall, on these properties, we will have more than the required, than what our own standards for affordable housing in a singular development will have. But I want to say that these ADUs, I think, are really something that is very much needed and very much being asked for by people who are looking for homes. It will provide housing for people like in-laws, like, I mean, elderly relatives that need a place to stay, adult children who, you know, who need a place to stay until they can save enough money to buy a house in the area or, you know, go somewhere else. I mean, we've seen it during the pandemic. A lot of adult, you know, offspring have moved back into the family home. Caretakers for people who get too old to or who are disabled or ill and need somebody to move in and help them take care of the house. Childcare, perhaps. I mean, there are all kinds of very useful ways that these units could be used to provide housing for people who probably don't make enough money to, you know, to buy a house, or maybe don't, but it can tie into jobs. It can very much help families at different stages of their development. So I think those ADUs are really valuable and a great addition to this project. And with that, I'll just say, all in all, I mean, I am going to support the motion, and the amendments that have been made are really suggestions that we continue working on trying to improve it, and I think the staff will take them to heart. And just keep in mind, this is a whole lot better than a freeway. So with that, I am going to, unless there is anyone else here, or no, I'm not seeing any hands raised. So on this motion that was made by Councilmember Zermano and seconded by Councilmember Salinas, Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez, absent. Councilmember Salinas. Aye. Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermano.
Aye.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
the motion carries with 6 aye votes and 1 member absent. And thank you all. And thank you for being here. It's so nice to be back in the chambers and have real live public speakers. Thank you all. We do have a couple other things to do, though, so council, you can't leave, but you all are. Thank you. Well, so we're going to move on to item number 15, which is regarding Rockaway Lane, a width realignment. I won't get into all of the other details, but we will proceed right now with a staff report from, do we have Mr. Ameri with us, or Mr. Wickstrom? Are you going to do this one? Or I see him on my screen here.
I think Scott Wickstrom is going to do this. Oh, sorry, Alex, I wasn't sure.
No. I was going to say the
Okay.
same thing.
Mr.
Go
Ameri,
ahead.
great. Okay.
Scott Wickstrom, Development Services Engineer, is going to present the report, Madam Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wickstrom.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Scott Wickstrom, Development Services Engineer. I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully this works out. Share. And you should be looking at my screen. And
Yes.
I'm going to start the
Yes, we can
slideshow
see it.
here from the beginning. This is a proposed amendment to the Rockaway Lane precise plan line, actually asking to reduce the right-of-way width requirement from 68 feet to 56 feet. First real question, what exactly is a precise plan line? It is a reservation of right-of-way to accommodate future growth. It's really something that's developed at the time of a general plan and consistent with the general plan. City of Hayward's first general plan was in 1953. And one of the things that the general plan did, looked at the master plan build out of the roadway network and looked to identify and reserve right-of-way wherever it was appropriate for what was perceived at the time as the future development of the city. The original precise plan line for Rockaway Lane was first adopted in 1959. Now, this right-of-way dedication really lies dormant until development occurs. So despite the fact the precise plan line went into effect originally in 59 and amended in 64 to its current configuration, nothing really happens until a development occurs on the adjoining and abutting properties, at which time a dedication is required. And as you can appreciate, a lot can change over 60 years, which is why we are here tonight.
Late last year, we received a development application at 22422 Rockaway Lane. And as part of our review of that application, we advised the property owner that a 20-foot dedication was required. The owner applicant initially requested the elimination of that precise plan line and worked with staff to where we came to an agreement to reduce the right-of-way requirement, the right-of-way dedication, to a point where staff supports this reduced right-of-way line on Rockaway Lane. In accordance with the Hayward Municipal Code, we went to Planning Commission on February 10th to basically ask their recommendation and for conformance with the general plan. There was unanimous support for moving forward with this amendment. And then again, per the municipal code, City Council adopted a resolution of intent on March 22nd, setting tonight, April 19th, as a public hearing date to hear any interested parties who may have comments or objections to this proposed revisions. So a little bit of context, vicinity map here. Rockaway Lane is a 2-block long street that really runs from A Street to the northwest. There is a signal at the intersection with Rockaway Lane and A Street and across the street over at 4th. But Rockaway Lane by itself is two blocks long and connects with Russellway Lane to really form a small neighborhood area that's bounded by San Lorenzo Creek, which is identified in the blue line there. It's important to at least appreciate the proposed amendment that's before you tonight affects 3 parcels. 2 of which have already been developed as apartments. So this is a very targeted request to amend this precise plan line. The story of Rockaway Lane is really not complete without some discussion of the Route 238 bypass. Obviously, we just talked about parcel group 5. The little arrow here with the circle is about the approximate location of Rockaway Lane. State adopted this preferred bypass location alignment in 1961. And on or around that same time, Rockaway Lane was identified as a freeway off-ramp. And City Council in 1964 amended the precise plan line to require the full 20-foot dedication to occur entirely on the 2422 Rockaway Lane side of the road because it was going to be an off-ramp for the freeway. So moving forward in time, the state officially rescinded the Route 238 bypass in 2010, and Caltrans shortly thereafter began selling properties, including 22422 Rockaway Lane. It's important to at least appreciate that the 2 adjacent parcels to the right in this little inset here were actually constructed before 1961, so before even the bypass alignment was settled on. Moving forward to the Hayward general plan, what does the general plan say about this area? Well, it's really a mix of commercial and high density residential. Rockaway Lane by itself is a roadway, and our roadway network is identified as a local street with no plans for a roadway extension or expansion. There's no plans whatsoever to cross San Lorenzo Creek or make any connection elsewhere. This is really going to be a limited neighborhood roadway, and that's about it. Furthermore, it's not identified as a bicycle route or for any enhanced pedestrian improvements in either the bike and ped master plan. So just to give a little bit of context, a photo, this is from Google Street, of Rockaway Lane. Right now, it is an existing 48-foot right-of-way with an approximate 28-foot pavement, face of curb to face of curb. And as you can see, when cars are parked on both sides of the street, it's narrow, and frankly, too narrow for a proper fire lane. As I mentioned before, the current precise plan line requires the full dedication all on the east side of Rockaway, which is the vacant parcel to the right, and also shown as the bare dirt lot on the aerial photo here as well. What exactly does, for context, a 68-foot road look like? This was a question that was asked at the Planning Commission, so I pulled together a couple of quick slides for that. Huntwood Avenue is a good example. It's a major collector or a minor arterial street. You can think of it as a through street, one that connects multiple, through multiple neighborhoods and runs a fairly long distance. So here's an example of a 68-foot right-of-way. What, by comparison, is a corresponding 56-foot wide right-of-way. There's obviously many within the city, but I looked at Mannion Avenue, largely because it really is a 1 block long street with a mixture of both multifamily residential and single-family residential. And it provides, a suitable width for parking both sides and plenty of room for both fire access and traffic through. So moving forward here to Rockaway Lane, what are we recommending for Rockaway Lane? It is staff's opinion that a 68-foot wide right-of-way is unnecessary and essentially a burden to the development. Staff does recommend a standard 56-foot wide residential street to allow travel lanes in each direction, parking on both sides, sidewalks on both sides of the street, while meeting all fire department requirements. And this alignment conveniently is actually consistent with the existing improvements on the west side of the road. So the face of curb, the existing face of curb on the opposite side of the roadway, the western side, would not be changed with this proposed alignment here. And something that came up as during the Planning Commission, from a context standpoint, we are actually not giving the developer land. We would be taking less land from the developer with the development process. And I think it's staff's contention that we'd be taking the right amount of land to meet both the traffic and circulation needs for the development and the neighborhood. And one of the last slides I have here is just a site topography map, kind of showing up some of the features of 22422 Rockaway Lane. It's important to note initially that amending this precise plan line is independent of the development application. So this action tonight does not prejudge in any way the future development on that lot, but what it does is it takes the current 20-foot dedication requirement, which I have kind of outlined here in blue, and it would replace it with an 8-foot dedication requirement for a 56-foot wide roadway. And it provides more room for the development to create something that still can respect the creek at the eastern side of the property. And also by way of any condition of approval for a development application at Rockaway Lane at 22422 would require the new roadway to be widened and constructed as a condition of approval. So the existing 48-foot wide road, 28-foot face to curb to face to curb, would be widened as a condition of approval for a new development at 22422 Rockaway Lane. With that, we have a staff recommendation that City Council introduces an ordinance to amend the precise plan line for Rockaway Lane from A Street to Russell Way and reduce the right-of-way width from 68 feet to 56 feet. That concludes my presentation. I know it's late this evening, so I went fairly quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. You win the prize tonight for the more time efficient presentation by staff, but let's see if we have any. So moved. We're not there yet. I'll let you know. We actually, so I want to know if there are anybody here have any questions. I'm not. Yeah, and I can't. Can you fix my screen so I can see if anyone on? And I don't see any hands raised, so no questions from council at the moment. I'm going to open public comment, and we do have a speaker, Mr. King. So moved. Not yet. I'll let you know when.
A few comments related to the creek. The question that I'm raising here is: will the Rockaway Lane width realignment result in future placement of a multi-story building further away from the riparian conservation easement? and will allow for replacement of riparian corridor trees and shrubs that were present on the site and removed without city permits. So this, for example, was the 2020 civil plan that the developer put together, which I'm not sure was actually an application. It was just a concept. And it shows that the building is very, very close to the conservation easement of the creek, like right up against it, which doesn't really allow for any trees to be added other than the trees that are already in the conservation easement. In fact, the building would probably shade it so much that things couldn't grow very well. To give you an idea what's happened on the site, this is a picture in 2017 of the site. There was extensive, some dense trees and shrubs across the site, and the 238 land management for Caltrans, right before the land was sold, went in and removed a whole bunch of that vegetation, resulting in this, which is 2017, right after the land was sold. Okay, and they didn't ask for any tree permits or anything to do that. And Caltrans said, well, we didn't need to do anything. Okay, and then in 2020, 8 trees, 1 in the conservation easement, 7 across the site, were cut down without tree permits. So the question is, I'm hoping that these trees, the compensation for this isn't going to end up being a bunch of street trees, and then we've lost a whole bunch of the trees that were actually part of the riparian corridor. So kind of the question is does this really give us the opportunity to plant some trees on the side of the building up against the conservation easement end of the creek, or are we just giving the developer more opportunity to build a bigger building? And that may be independent of your decision about what's right for the right-of-way. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And I'll ask Mr. Wickstrom if he has a response.
Sure, and I appreciate Mr. King's comments, and I personally didn't know some of the history about the tree removals. I will say that what would happen here is instead of a 20-foot dedication on Rockaway Lane, it would be an 8-foot dedication. So essentially, there's 12 additional feet that the developer would have as a building footprint. Now, the developer knows, I've informed him, and I know the planner has also informed him that the creek and creek preservation is going to be super important, very critical for this development. So part of what's happening here in a way is there's a little more room being given on the street side of the projects, and with the intention that there will be more space to respect the existing creek on the eastern side of the property. Again, technically that application needs to stand on its own 2 feet and needs to pass muster on its own. And this right-of-way or precise plan line amendment would be independent of that. But part of the intention here is that if we pushed 20 feet to the east, there's not a lot of room left, and the developer would be very much crowded onto that creek bank. And giving the extra 12 feet gives a little more room for a viable development, a good development that at the end of the day, if it does go forward, would also reconstruct Rockaway Lane to a 56-foot width with wider, safer roads for all involved.
Well, let's hope when that plan comes in, you keep in mind the other side, besides the road, and take those comments to heart about the developer maybe now having more space to protect the creek a little better. But that's for a future when the plans actually come in for whatever the property owner wants to do. So keep paying attention. I don't see any other members of the public wishing to comment. So I'll close public comment. And now, are you ready? The staff recommendation has been moved by Councilmember Salinas. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Lamnin. Does anyone want to speak on this? No, I don't see that anyone does. So, Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll on the motion by Councilmember Salinas, seconded by Councilmember Lamnin?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
I just want to say for the record, I think Director Dustin Clausen might have the shortest presentation ever. So,
Well, we'll see. He has a chance. You're right. He's coming up next. So,
Okay. Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez, absent. Councilmember Salinas. Yes. Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
Aye.
Mayor Halliday.
yes, and the motion carries with 6 aye votes and 1 member absent. All right. So, moving on to the last item on our agenda, item number 16. This is actually an informational report to us regarding the CalPERS pension unfunded accrued liability update and analysis of restructuring concepts. Mr. Clausen, and I will remind you it's now 10:47, but Mr. Clausen, please go ahead.
Mayor, I just want to remind the council that informational items don't have presentations. And
Oh,
so
you always have to, I'm sorry, you always have to remind me of that.
So this is simply if the council would like us to bring this back at a future meeting. Otherwise, staff will continue to do work. We've presented to the Budget and Finance Committee on this item already. If there is a desire to have this at a full council meeting, we can do that. So that's what this item is. So
Okay, so I trust that all my colleagues have read the staff report on the item, and it is a very complicated, I thought it was anyway when I heard it at the Budget Committee, but it is about restructuring unfunded accrued liability. And so I think the Budget Committee did recommend that we continue to consider along these lines. The first step would be to do some, I forgot what it's called now, some kind of study. Mr. Clausen, can you remind me of that?
Sure, no problem. So it's actually, we've done some of the study that we've needed to do to provide some analysis. The next steps, should council be interested, would be to ask the Alameda courts to recognize the obligation as a legal liability, and then to be able to sort of continue the process in looking into the potential of bonding against, to restructure the debt.
Yes, and the one question I did have was is there a cost to that?
There would be a slight cost for the legal fees to be able to do that moving forward, but it would be something that we could include in this fiscal year's budget process if council would like us to, or also bring it back in a future meeting.
All right. Well, is there anyone in council who has, informational items that are usually not even discussed. So, but you are asking us for some input here, right? Correct?
Well, I think the question is, would you like us to schedule it for a full council work session, or would you like us to continue working with the Budget and Finance Committee as we move through the process, and then when it is appropriate, bringing it back to the full council for discussion? So I think we wanted to, because the Budget and Finance Committee said, yes, move forward with some additional research, we wanted to make it public for the full council, make sure council was aware of it. If the council has a desire to fully agendize it and have the same presentation we had at Budget and Finance Committee, we can do that. Otherwise, staff will continue to work on it and then bring it back to the council at the appropriate points.
So I think the recommendation of the Budget Committee would be that the staff continue to work on it and bring it back when there is something to be acted on, or bring it back through the Budget Committee, and it will come back to council when there is something really to be decided about going forward with one of these. What is it? Pension obligation?
Correct.
Bonds, yeah. So is there any, I'll just ask, is there any member of council who would object to that, to continuing the, gathering the information, having staff continue to work on it, and bringing it back to both the Budget Committee and council as indicated by the research? Is anybody have any objection? I don't see anybody here. I can't see my colleagues on Zoom, but I can see one of them, and she's shaking her head that she doesn't have anything, and I don't see any hands up from any of the others. So with that, I will assume you have your answer, that
it sounds like we will continue working and researching and moving forward in the process and
Yes.
keeping the council apprised as we move forward.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go here. So I don't know what will ultimately happen, but all right. And so with that, we have come to reports from council. Anyone on, Councilmember Andrews?
I just want to remind the city that we are going to have a town hall on child safety on Thursday from 5:30 to 7. And I believe the city manager will probably have more details, but it'll be via Zoom. But it's a town hall between HARD, City of Hayward, and Hayward Unified.
I apologize. I should have mentioned that during my city manager comments and completely slipped my mind this evening. Thank you, Councilmember Andrews. Yes, we will be hosting a town hall this Thursday evening, 5:30 to 7. It'll be on Zoom. The information is on the city's website as well as the HARD website and the HUSD website. The topic being the safety and well-being of our children in our both Hayward and the unincorporated areas served by HARD and HUSD, given some public incidents recently with a library employee and murder of an 8-year-old child, Sophia Mason. So just in light of those and other incidents, we wanted to give the public an opportunity to come together and have that conversation. The general manager of HARD, the school superintendent, myself will be facilitating the public comments. It will not be a time for elected official discussion at that meeting. It's mostly to listen to the public. And then the intent is to come back to the local agencies committee meeting on May 12th for follow-up discussion and potential action items.
All right, thank you for that. Councilmember Salinas?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to announce tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. The Hayward Promise Neighborhood, the Alameda County Public Health Department mobile strike team, and the city of Hayward. We're going to be out in South Hayward on Chisholm Court. That's right next door to Glassbrook Elementary School. We're closing the court, and we will be doing on-site vaccinations for families and kids. We're really targeting, we'll be vaccinating everybody, first, second, and booster shots, but we're really targeting kids. We're really trying to increase the amount of kids 5 to 11 who are getting vaccinated. Wanted to, and of course, in addition to vaccinations, we're also doing a street cleanup. So the City of Hayward Street Maintenance Division will be doing a street cleanup, very targeted cleanup in the both on Chisholm Court and in Schaefer, in the Schaefer area. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., come on out and get your vaccinations. I'm sure Debbie will like that. Thank you.
Are you doing boosters too?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing boosters
And
too?
we're doing boosters, yes.
All right.
I plan on getting my booster number 2 tomorrow.
All right, okay. Thank you for that. Is there anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Zermano.
This Saturday at 9 o'clock at Weeks Park, we were having our citywide cleanup. So go on over and join us. Patrick and Tennyson, Weeks Park. I think there'll be some donuts and coffee or something like that. So I'm going to be there. Thank you. Hope to see you Saturday.
Yes, thank you for reminding us of that too. So anyone else for the good of the order? With that, until next week at 7 o'clock, our next meeting, April 26th, I think that is. This meeting is adjourned.